Yeah, this is case number 162 on the calendar, the matter of Troush versus Barton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
All right, you two ladies used to be friends, neighbors, now you're enemies. Each one of you claimed that the other is harassing the other. You also, Ms. Troush, claimed that the defendant either stole or took your lawnmower. Ms. Barton says that in addition to the harassment, you filed a complaint against her, criminal complaint, which caused her name to be circulated in the paper, and were you arrested?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
She was arrested. It was embarrassing, and it was all done out of a vindictiveness. How long have you known each other?
For several years, Your Honor.
Before you became neighbors?
No, we had lived there, and then her and her husband and family moved in.
And you became friends?
Yes.
For years?
Yes.
So what caused the problem?
Well, I decided to break off the friendship.
Why?
She had done numerous things in the past that morally I didn't agree with, and it just led up to a point where one day when I walked up to her door, I heard her and her live-in friend Rita talking about me behind my back, and I just thought that was the last straw.
Okay. When was that?
Somewhere around November of last year.
Okay. Now, Ms. Barton, why do you think that this relationship went sour?
Okay, we were friends for a period of time, and then there was an incident with my neighbor where she called the police and told the police that my neighbor
Who's she?
Jeanette had told the police that my neighbor had threatened to beat her up. The police came to my door. My daughter and my son were outside playing at the time. My daughter didn't hear him threaten her, and neither did I. I wasn't even outside. Well, the police came and they asked me if I had heard him threaten her. I told the officer, no, I did not, because I wasn't outside. She got upset with me. After the police left...
Well, how did she know that you had had that discussion with the police officer?
She was standing outside. We lived directly across from each other.
What did she say?
After the officer left, I went over there and I was talking to her, and she's like, don't talk to me, and I can't believe that you wouldn't stick up for me. We've been friends for so long. And I told her, Jeanette, I didn't hear him threaten you, and I wasn't going to lie to the officer. Well, your daughter was standing up.
When was that? Was that in November? Was that in November, Ms. Troush?
I don't know when it was, Your Honor. She's talking about my neighbor, Robert.
I have the police report.
Oh, let me see the police report. Maybe that'll give
I have also the newspaper I was in.
I don't need that yet. I'm trying to figure out when all this trouble started and why. Okay, and whether the court should be involved with it or you should take care of it yourselves.
That same day, she accused him of loosening nuts on her.
You say it was November of 2001. This is October of 2001. So it came around the same time.
Yeah.
That's when you stopped being friends.
No,
now,
I don't even know, what she's talking about. I have called the police on that neighbor so many times for playing his music out in front.
Well, this was a nuts and bolts incident, madam, in October of 2001.
That same night, she put a sign in her window. She made up a sign and it said, "Help me, someone is trying to kill me." It was there for 3 days. The co-ops that I live in made her take it down.
So then you became enemies. Now, you say that there's been a problem with a lawnmower and harassment. I'll hear you, Ms. Troush, and you have 60 seconds or less to tell me all about this childishness.
Okay. On March 14th, she was yelling out the window. When I got out of my car, she said the BIT filed a complaint against me. She encouraged people in her home to say things to me like, what a BIT. Again, on Saturday, April 13th, Maureen was yelling out the window to me as I walked from the car to the house, and that's what she usually starts yelling and cursing at me the minute I get out of the car and start walking to the house. And then Tuesday, May 21st, again. And then on Thursday, May 23rd, I just couldn't take it anymore because she said, you're going to be hurting. I'm going to get you. You're going to get yours. You can't watch your car 24 hours a day. You won't get away with filing a false police report.
And this was May?
And that was May 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And I have a police report and a witness. Another neighbor was outside and heard.
Okay. So she's saying not nice things to you.
Right.
You don't get compensated for that. Tell me about the lawnmower.
Well, what happened is right after May 23rd, and I had filed a complaint with the police, the very next weekend...
What did you file a complaint with the police about?
Because she said she's going to get me, and she's going to do something to our car. And
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't make things up as you go along. You said that she said she was going to do something to you as a result of you filing a false police report about her.
Right.
When did you file the police report?
I didn't, and she didn't even know I didn't file a police report. I had called the police.
Okay.
I called the police.
When did you call the police?
I
What
called
date?
the police Tuesday, May 21st. Her and one of her friends was having a fight in our street, and they were yelling back and forth at each other, and it was really early in the morning, I think 2 a.m., and so I called the police, and somebody, the driver of the vehicle, threw a mug and broke it on our street and then peeled out of there. And that's why I had called the police. And that's what she was angry about.
Okay. What report did you make to the police? Can I see the police report? Because she must have
That is
it.
not true what she just said. This is what happened because the police came to my house. On the next page, it tells you what they found.
So you filed a police report. You made a complaint on the 21st of May. I want to hear about the lawnmower.
Okay, after I had made the complaint on May 23rd, the very next week, our lawnmower was stolen.
Yes?
And I'm just saying, it seemed pretty coincidental.
Okay. That's it? That's your side?
Well, there's more, Your Honor. I mean, Maureen knows that I'm a cancer patient and that I have a lot of stress already dealing with my cancer, but yet she continually goes outside and verbally just yells at me. She shouts at the top of her lungs all these bad things to me. Here's a statement from my neighbor.
I don't read statements from neighbors.
And my husband was there, and he heard her, and he knows how many times he's come home, and I've told him how she does this to me.
That's not nice. It doesn't come under the category of being actionable in court. She says not nice things to you. Courts don't get involved with that.
And
I certainly don't get involved with that.
We had our lug nuts loosened 3 times. So
you seem to have a lot of trouble with a lot of neighbors.
No, we don't.
Well, you had trouble with this neighbor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors. I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never.
And later today.
Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes, of course it was. Did somebody drug you?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeanette Troush says neighbor Maureen Barton owes for a stolen lawnmower and for nonstop verbal assaults. Maureen says Jeanette had her falsely arrested.
Now, you said that you called the police on this neighbor several times for loud music, for touching your car, for lug nuts. I mean, that's all in here. So you seem to have problems with a lot of your neighbors.
Only them 2, and it's mostly
Just
Maureen.
a minute. The neighbor that you initially called a police report in on, where the police asked her about the alleged threats, was that this 21-year-old boy or a different neighbor?
It would have been Robert. Yeah.
Not a different neighbor?
No.
Okay.
Robert lives right next to Maureen.
Okay. All right, Miss Barton, why don't you tell me about your counterclaim?
Okay, June 21st, I was sitting on my porch, and I was with my daughter and my son. Jeanette was getting out of her car with her husband. They were walking, because she lives directly across from me. Okay, as they were walking to their car, I had coughed. Well, Jeanette turned around and she looked at me and she said, "Why don't you shut up?" And I told her, "No, why don't you shut up and leave me alone?" That's when her husband, Joe, turned around and started flipping us the finger.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was flipping the finger. Okay, they went into the house, and 2 days later, an officer came to my door, and my husband was home. I wasn't. They asked me to come in because they had to ask me some questions. So I went into the police department. I then proceeded to get arrested for a verbal assault that she had claimed that I made against her. She had told the officer that she had a witness that heard me say that I was going to beat her up, I was going to ruin her car, she was going to get hurt, which I never made those statements, but she claimed I did. They arrested me. I went to court, and they dropped the charges in court. My name was published in the newspaper for this arrest, for everybody to see. I didn't do none of this stuff to her. And this is ongoing. It's every day. It's like she'll call the police, and if she doesn't get the results she wants, she goes for something bigger. And I just want this to stop.
Your Honor, I'd like to say the same thing. You know,
How many times has the defendant called the police with regard to your actions?
how many times has Maureen called the police on me?
Yes.
Never, I don't think.
Never. How many times have you called the police with regard to her or any other neighbor? More than 5?
Definitely more than 5.
More than 10?
May I?
No, just answer my question. More than
Not
10?
more, I wouldn't say more than 10, Your Honor.
Would you say 10?
I'd say it's getting close to 10.
All right. How old are you?
35.
35. I am several decades your senior, and I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors.
Sure.
I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never. Had some I liked, I have some I didn't like, I have some that played music loud, I have some that played music I didn't like loud. I'd never called the police on a neighbor.
I understand.
Well, if you want to live someplace and not be bothered by other people, and if you have certain physical problems and you want to live stress-free, go build a cabin in the country.
I understand that.
Listen to me. Go build a cabin where you have no other neighbors. Police have other things to do other than to respond to your, for want of a better word, mishigas, which means your craziness. You got to stop that. Harassment has as its core not somebody saying bad things to a former friend. And I believe her when she says that you were annoyed with her because you had made a complaint against this neighbor. The police came to her, asked her whether she could validate your complaint. She said no, and you got angry. That's exactly how this started. Now, you may have then heard conversations about you, which made you madder, but that's how this problem started. You don't get compensated for that. And this lawnmower baloney that you threw in here, you have no idea who stole your lawnmower a week later? None whatsoever. Why would you even accuse her of doing something when you have absolutely no proof? None. Did you file a formal complaint against her or anyone of her family with regard to the lawnmower?
I did make a report about it, and I did.
You made a report about it. In the police report, did you say that you think you knew who took your lawnmower?
I said it could have been a possibility.
What could have been a possibility?
That my neighbor Maureen, because we were having problems.
That's your problem. You get nothing. However, I believe that filing these charges which caused her arrest were vindictive. And it caused her name to be published in the paper. And it caused an arrest. How many times have you been arrested, Miss Barton? How many times
twice.
Altogether? Twice. For this and what else?
Prior, there was a dispute. It was me and my husband. It was my husband, but then they dropped the charges, and he's the one that...
It was a domestic dispute between you and your husband. Other than the domestic dispute between you and your husband, have you ever been arrested for anything else?
No.
So it's embarrassing. You have children? Judgment on the counterclaim for the defendant in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties
Claim
are
is
excused.
dismissed.
You may step out.
We did so many favors for her, and she just used us until she couldn't use us anymore.
Judge Judy saw through the lies. She saw what was really going on, and it spoke for itself.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walkling versus McKnight. Step forward, please.
22-year-old waitress Brandy Walkling is suing manufacturing laborer Shane McKnight for the cost to repair her car. Shane says the damage was the result of a freak accident.
Miss Walkling, you do not know the defendant. Is that correct?
Correct. No, I serve him every once in a while in the bar I work in.
But other than that, you have no relationship with him whatsoever.
Right.
It is your claim that his car hit and damaged your car.
Correct.
I want you to tell me when that happened.
That happened on March 8th
Where?
in the parking lot at the bar that I work at.
What time?
I get off work about 1:30, 1:45 a.m.
Tell me what happened.
I walked out of the bar, just got off work, and I noticed the rear end of his car was like sitting about this far from the side of my car, which I'll show pictures in a minute. And it was running, and the reverse lights were on, and the keys were in it, obviously, and it was locked. And so I didn't know what to do. So we went and we got the police, and eventually Shane came back, and he went through the parking lot a couple times, obviously, because he had been drinking. And he had claimed that his car had went from this point in the parking lot here and reversed itself all the way into my car while he was gone getting his extra set of keys.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old waitress Brandy Walkling is suing manufacturing laborer Shane McKnight for the cost to repair her car. Shane says the damage was the result of a freak accident.
So what he's saying is he locked his keys in the car. He wasn't in the car. And therefore, he's not responsible if his car rolled and damaged your car. That's your defense. Is that
Correct.
right, sir?
Yes.
And the car, when you arrived back in the parking lot, was not where you had parked it.
That's
Is that right?
Yes.
The keys were locked in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
So clearly, nobody had gotten into the car to drive it. It had to have rolled from one place to another.
I disagree.
Tell me what you think happens.
There was a bunch of people from the bar where we made an attempt to get into the car. There was a guy there with one of those Jimmy type of bars that goes in between the window and the door. Several attempts were made to get into the car using that. And so I left to go call a tow truck to have them come out and unlock the door. And by the time I got back, the car had moved into the position that she claims.
So so you don't know what happened to the car?
Well, I maintain that one of the guys that was using the Jimmy to make an attempt to get into the car did get into the car while I was gone, backed it up, and staged the whole thing. That's
okay,
what
so let me understand your defense, sir. Your defense is that while you were gone, one of the people that you had asked for help
Yes.
had, in fact, gotten into the car, backed it up into her car.
Yeah, about 3 inches or so away. It wasn't even touching when I arrived.
Well, maybe it bounced off. She's not here because her car wasn't damaged.
Right.
She's here because her car was damaged. And then when he realized that he had backed it up into her car, got out, left the car running, and relocked the car.
Yes.
That's your defense.
Yes.
I want you to hum for me the theme from The Twilight Zone. Listen to me. I think I know what happened, Mr. McKnight. You left the keys in your car. The car was running. And you left to go get a tow truck. While you were gone, E.T. landed in the parking lot. With his little finger, you know, that long finger, managed to get in, unlock the car. But nobody could see him because you have to be under 10 years old to see him. Got into the car, backed into her car, right? And then the ship took off. Let me see pictures of the car, please. Nice. Show them to Mr. McKnight so he knows what he's going to pay for, and let me see the estimate.
I have 2 estimates here, and I'll give it to you.
Cheaper of the 2 estimates is $1,046.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Yes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martin versus Moss. Step forward, please.
Nanny Gail Martin is suing her former employer, day spa owner Kimberly Moss, for non-payment of services rendered. Kimberly says Gail abused her 10-year-old daughter, Lauren.
Miss Martin, you answered an ad in the paper for child care and light housework that the defendant had placed in the paper. It is your claim that you worked there and you were not fully paid before she let you go.
That's correct.
Okay. The defendant says you were, in fact, fully paid. Are these the 2 children she was supposed to take care of?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you answer the ad and when did you start working?
I answered the ad the first day I noticed it was in there, and there were 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. And I started to work on, the first week was October the 10th, and the second week was October the 15th.
Okay, and what was the pay arrangement?
She told me, I told her what I got at my last job, and she said I paid $10 an hour. And after the first week, which was the Friday, but I had to come back Saturday, she only paid me the $300 from the first 3 days.
Well, whatever it was, that's
It wasn't
that's important.
enough because I had worked that first week. I
The first
worked
week, how many days did you work?
4 days.
Is that correct?
I really don't remember.
Well, if you
I
don't
was-
remember, then I have to rely on her. And the second week you worked, how many days did you work?
I worked Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3
And
days.
how much were you paid during that
None.
2-week period? During the, yes, you were.
The whole time I worked there, she paid me $300.
Okay. How much did you pay her?
When she first came to my employment, we agreed that she would get $100 a day. And
Really, not $10 an hour?
No. And-
$100 a day, irrespective of how many hours she worked?
Right.
First week she worked 4 days, and you gave her how much?
Whatever it was,
She said you only gave her $300.
well, that's not accurate. Whatever I owed her is what I paid her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nanny Gail Martin says former employer Kimberly Moss owes for babysitting fees. Kimberly says Gail threw her 10-year-old daughter in the shower with her clothes on.
So, what happened the second week?
The second week, she was paid up. On the last day, her car broke down. She asked if she could stay with us overnight for a couple days because she didn't have transportation to and from work. And I said that would be fine until she got her car fixed. The first morning of the night that she stayed over, there was a problem. And what happened was I was in bed. My daughter Chelsea came running to me to wake me up, telling me that Gail had put Lauren, my baby, into the hot shower with her nightgown on. So I got up and ran into her bedroom, and there she was crying, cuddled up in the corner in the hot shower. So I got in the shower with her in my nightgown and blocked the hot water from her and adjusted the temperature, and to try to reduce the trauma of what had already occurred, took a shower with her, got her out, we all got ready for school, took her to school. That is why my secretary drove her home, because if I was to confront her about it, it would have turned out ugly. So I had my secretary relieve her from,
Did you
that
put
was
the
the
child
last
in the
day.
shower?
No, ma'am, I would never do that to a child under any circumstances. Never. And if this did happen, how come she didn't call HRS? That's what I'd like to know. When she told me she
Which
didn't have
child
the
was in
money,
the shower?
The baby Lauren was.
Lauren? Come up here. Tell me about the shower.
I was in bed and I didn't want to get up because I didn't feel good. And then she picked me.
You mean get up to go to school?
Yeah. And she picked me up out of the bed and put me in the shower, and she turned the hot water on with my nightgown on.
No question in your mind about that? Where was your sister?
She was in bed with me.
Had that ever happened before?
No.
Okay, go sit down. All right. Ms. Moss, the plaintiff worked for you for 3 days, the second week.
Correct.
Did you pay her?
I do not remember the exact amount of time that she was under our employment. To me-
Fine. Then I have to rely on her records for those days.
That's fine.
That she was. Now, at that point, did you fire her?
That day, absolutely.
That day, she was let go.
Absolutely.
Okay. You say not. Is that right?
no, she explained to me she was going to go to Daytona Beach with her boyfriend, and that her business that she just opened, her Kimberly's Day Spa, they do facials,
Whatever.
and massages.
You were
and
told
whatever.
that your services were no longer
Yes,
necessary.
because her business hadn't taken off like she expected it to, and that she couldn't afford it. This child that's wearing that nice little Sunday school outfit, that's not what they wore when I worked there. They dressed shamelessly.
What do you mean shamelessly?
They dressed in little Daisy Dukes with half their butt poking out the bottom, and little things with their belly buttons showing, and trying to go to school like that. They were, and makeup, and they were hellions.
And what about
They were 9 and 11, going on 17.
Go ahead.
I came back on the Monday to collect some money that she owed me from that previous week. her oldest son was changing the locks on her house door. And I said, well, what happened? He says, don't expect to find any money here. We had a break-in. Our safe was broken into, but I didn't see any black powder anywhere. So he said, we don't have any money to pay you. So why would she have to do that if she paid me the week before?
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
ergo.
Okay. You work there according to your records, and since she doesn't have any records of her own, which she should have, a total of 7 days. I am crediting her testimony that your agreement was $100 a day, and that she paid you, according to your records, which I am crediting, $300, which means she owes you $400, and I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Your Honor, this is case number 213 on the calendar in the matter of Arnie versus Weidman Arnie.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have seats, folks.
What is your first name?
Tressa Ani.
Tressa?
Mm-hmm.
Tressa, this is your sister.
Yes, it is.
What's your first name?
Teresa.
Teresa. Tressa and Teresa. I thought I would make this simple. It's not. That didn't make it any simpler for me. You're the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
And you're here because this was your car.
Yes.
Was the car in both your names or in just your name?
Just mine.
It is your claim that your sister vandalized your car.
Yes, sir.
Sister said she didn't do it. You didn't see her vandalize your car.
No, I did not.
When was your car vandalized and how?
On July 10th in the morning, I received a call from the Hennepin County Sheriff's letting me know she was being released from jail for something.
No. What I asked you was, when was your car vandalized?
July 10th, 2002.
Okay. When did you last see it when it was in good condition?
The night before when we drove home and parked it in our parking lot.
And when you went to get it on July 10th, you found it damaged?
Yes.
What time did you find it damaged?
About 8 o'clock in the morning.
And what time had you parked it the evening before?
Around 10.
Now, what makes you think that your sister did that to your car?
For starters, she...
By the way, it was keyed, according to your complaint.
It was something. Rocks, keys. We had estimates, so the guy who did the
You have
estimate...
pictures of it?
Yes, I do.
Let me take a look.
The man who did the estimate for us told us it could have been a number of...
Can't tell me what he told you. I'll take a look at it. What was cracked off?
Part of the rim. It was struck by a blunt object, probably a hammer.
This is sort of unusual keying.
There's chunks missing out of the side of the door.
Okay. I've seen your photographs. Now tell me what makes you think that your sister did any of this damage.
I can't really go into it too far, but she had been arrested for assaulting me on July 5th. She was arrested and spent 5 days in jail. And when she was arrested, she was threatening. She was throwing rocks at us at that time.
Where was she arrested?
At my mother's house. I had taken my little sister on the 4th of July to Valley Fair, and I was returning her on the day after. And this is when all this occurred. She threatened myself. She threatened my 18-month-old daughter. She said she was going to drown my child in my mom's pool, to take my little white rat-faced child the hell out of there.
Okay. But then she assaulted you.
Yeah, she grabbed a knife, said she was going to gut me like a fish because I'm pregnant.
Did she, in fact, cut you?
No, she did not.
But she threatened
Yes.
to cut you. She spent 5 days in jail?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Are those charges still pending?
Yes, they are.
So I'm not going to go into that at all. Were you subsequently released on bail?
No, I was released on, there's like a temporary release or whatever. I'm on probation.
Okay.
Just until we go to trial.
Go ahead.
I had also previously spoken to Child Protection, which she found out about because of the way she treats her 2-year-old daughter, that she probably wanted to retaliate.
So what you're telling me is she had a motive?
Yes.
For damaging your car?
She also threatened to, and so did my mother.
Your mother too?
Yes, we had our phone disconnected and our number changed.
So not only did your sister threaten to damage your car according to you, but your mother threatened to damage your car?
Yes.
So 2 people threatened to damage your car?
Yes. My mom, her exact words were, something's going to happen. I disown you, you little... Don't come back here.
Okay. What evidence do you have?
She has admitted it.
To whom?
To... in courtroom, which I cannot get the transcripts till her criminal stuff is done. Right outside the courtroom, I was standing there with the district attorney and some other people that were standing
Did you
there.
hear her admit it?
Yes.
Did you, personally?
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me when that was and what you heard.
We had gone because I had originally filed a restraining order and they were trying to fight it. And I had brought with me the estimates of the car, and I was talking to the prosecutor, and before we went up to the judge, she was like, so what if I damaged her effing car? She made me spend 5 days in jail, and I didn't hear what she said after that.
Okay. Any other evidence that she damaged?
She's admitted it to our witness, Johnny Gurley. That's Devin's brother-in-law.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is Johnny Leroy Gurley.
How do you know these parties?
Well, actually, this is my stepbrother here, and that's his girlfriend, Tressa.
Tressa says that you overheard the defendant acknowledge that she vandalized the plaintiff's car.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
When and where?
This was September 6th out in Mound, because I work at the Mound post office. I was happening to take out the trash, and I seen her, and I asked her if I could ask her a question. She said, yeah, so I asked her the question to where I heard...
What question did you ask her?
The question was, I heard that you had tore up Devin and Tressa's car. And her response was, yeah, I tore it up, and if I see it again, I'll tear it up again. And if I see the truck, I'll tear the truck up too.
Had you known her previously, the defendant?
Yeah.
Had you ever had any difficulty with her?
Nope.
After she answered you in that fashion, did you say anything else to her?
No, the only thing I said to her was that you need to stop all that violence.
And what did she say?
I couldn't really hear what she was saying because she was running off to catch the bus. Because she was waiting at the bus stop to go to work.
Okay. Thank you. I will start out by, for the purpose of this hearing, assuming that you're going to tell me you did not do any damage to the car, right?
Right.
What time were you released from jail on either the 9th or the 10th of July?
On the 9th of July, I was released at 8 o'clock at night.
Had you seen a judge that day?
Yeah, I seen it. I had a court to be released at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I was in a holding cell to be released until 8.
Do you know why you were being held from 1:30 to 8 p.m.?
Just to be released. They said it took that long for the release papers to come through.
Had you ever been incarcerated before?
Yes.
Immediately prior to this
No.
time? Immediately, yes, listen. You didn't listen to my question, so you don't know what the question is. Immediately before this arrest, when was the last time you were arrested?
Last year.
For what?
I was accused of threatening my brother.
Your brother?
Well, my mom and I had a domestic over my boyfriend, the guy I was dating, and I had his 12-year-old daughter staying in the house, also along with my 2-year-old daughter, and we got domestic over him. She didn't want me to see him and this and that, and so I told her I was going to leave, and she said, well, you ain't leaving with the 2 kids. So, well, I was like, well, call the police then, and I guess she made up a lie or whatever, and said I had threatened my brother, so I just got my kids and left, the 12-year-old and my 2-year-old.
So you were arrested for an attempted assault?
Right, which they dismissed the case because it wasn't true.
She threatened him with a butcher knife.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I love my family dearly, but I cannot be arrested for things I did not do. This whole thing has just been ridiculous.
Well, something is definitely out of whack in this family, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just a little old judge who's trying to find the truth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Tressa Ani says her sister, 20-year-old Teresa Ani, vandalized her boyfriend's car. Tressa says it was retaliation for throwing her in jail.
Was that case resolved with the issuance of a protective order of protection?
No.
Or a restraining order, a stay-away order with regard to your brother?
Nope.
It was just dismissed?
Right.
When was the time that you were arrested immediately prior to that arrest?
I've never been arrested before that.
Okay. So you were released from jail at 8 o'clock in the evening. Was somebody waiting for you?
No, I went to the HCMC, which is the hospital downtown Minneapolis, to use the phone.
Yes.
Okay, and I waited there with one of the guys I was released with for about an hour and a half before my stepdad could come get me because I had to get a hold of somebody in town because we didn't have a phone. So he came and got me. It must have been around maybe 9:45. I got home an hour and a half later because we stopped and got gas and ate and stuff, and then we went to the house, which we live in Mound from Minneapolis, it's west. And when I got home, I just stayed home. I didn't go nowhere. You know, I visited, well, my sister's 3 kids was there, and I just visited them and then went to bed.
So your stepfather came to pick you up. You went out for a bite to eat with him, and then you went home. Now, does your stepfather live with your mother?
Yes.
So from the time you were released from jail until the next day, I assume, you were in the company of your stepfather.
Right.
Where is he today?
He's at work.
Well, what'd you bring your... This is your mother.
Because my mother, they was downtown since I went to court. They were waiting for me to be released. They waited for 4 hours for me to be released because they said I'd be released.
Your mother wasn't with you from the time you were released.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I got home, my mom was there waiting for me.
But your mother wasn't there
right.
to pick you up, take you home. So if you had to bring a witness, why wouldn't you bring the witness who was with you from the time that you were actually at the area where you were released until the next morning?
Because Shakopee, where she lives at, is nowhere near Minneapolis, neither is Mound. So how am I supposed to get from Minneapolis to Shakopee with no money, without being able to take
Maybe your
money for the bus?
stepfather drove you there.
Why would my father do that? So I can go back to jail?
Maybe he was angry.
He ain't
What
angry.
do I know? He's not here. How would I know? I mean, it just seems sort of foolish. I'm just telling you for the future. If you have a witness who can solidify a defense, and you choose to bring another witness to court who can't, that looks stupid. Do you understand?
Yep.
I mean, you have stepfather and you have a mother. One can say, she was with me all the time, we didn't go near their house. That person you leave home. The person who says, well, she did come home that night at some point, but I wasn't with her all the time, that person you bring to court. It doesn't sound smart, right? All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
Yes, since this has all happened, I have basically had my life turned upside down. I have been arrested for her warrant. She used my name. It says I'm blonde, I weigh 135 pounds, and I'm 5'6", and I had light green
I don't know what
eyes.
you're talking about.
About a month after this happened, I was arrested for I live in Scott County, for a warrant in Hennepin County, when I've never lived in Hennepin County in my whole life. She does, and the address on the warrant was my mother's. It was her social security number, but my name.
What were you arrested for?
Supposedly a disorderly conduct. 2 weeks after that, I got a notice from the Minnesota Department of Transportation saying my driving privileges are being suspended. I got pulled over in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. That's where her boyfriend lives. I was driving a car with no insurance. Both of our cars are fully insured. And I ran a stop sign or something telling me I had a $150 fine or something, and if I didn't pay it, my driving privileges were being suspended. So the district attorney's looking into it, talking to the Brooklyn Park Police to see if he could identify who was actually pulled over. I mean, I love my family dearly, but I cannot have things damaged. I cannot be arrested for things I did not do. I cannot have my driving privileges suspended. This is just ridiculous. This whole thing has just been ridiculous.
Well, something is definitely out of whack in this family, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just a little old judge who's trying to find the truth. So let me see your estimates. And let's talk about truth with regard to these estimates. How old is this car?
It's a 2001 Pontiac Trans Am.
Your Honor, may I speak for a minute? I do not have any warrants against me.
No, she says, what she says
Where's the
is,
paper?
I'm speaking. What she says is that you don't have any warrants against you, that somehow she had the warrants against her, but the description of the person on the warrant was you, or somebody who looked like you, only using her name and social security number. Doesn't your car have any sort of insurance?
It's a $500 deductible.
So really what your out-of-pocket is going to be when you have it fixed is $500.
Yes.
I find that based upon his testimony, the fact that the defendant had certainly a motive to cause some damage to your car, that she had an opportunity to do it, that she made a statement to this gentleman that she in fact did it, that she did it. But your insurance is going to cover it, but for the first $500 on a new car, if you have a $500 deductible. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My brother did that damage with her boyfriend, which was drunk.
That's ridiculous, and if I have to go to criminal court, I will.
He said he was doing a 360 and hit a curb. That's why her wheels messed up.
She admitted to my brother, to him, to everybody, to myself, in the courtroom, in front of everybody, that she did it and that she was going to do it again.
It's lies.
Jealousy, I don't know what it is.
So, in other words, I'm just screwed.
I just can't believe my family is disgusting like that.
Case number 118 on the calendar in the matter of Stutz versus Bailey. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
This case is like a mini-series. Mr. Stutz, you and the defendant lived together for a long time, and there were lots of pieces to your claims, because I have a claim, I have a counterclaim. The main part of the case is about a van that you claim is yours. that after you broke up, you had impounded. So now the van is in impound someplace. Is that right, sir?
Yes, it's in the storage.
And you want the defendant to give you the title to the van so you could have your van out of storage. The defendant says it's her van, and she wants the van. Then you claim that she has some jewelry that belongs to you. She says she has one piece of jewelry that belongs to you that she's prepared to give back to you. And what is that, madam?
The ring his father had made for him.
Can I see it, Bird, please?
Sure.
So let's take care of the simple things first. Okay. Is this your father's ring, sir?
I can't see that far.
You can't see that far. I can see up close.
Yes, it looks like it.
Now you have it back.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Easy.
Thank you.
Now let's deal with the other easy part of this case. You were engaged to be married,
That's true.
and you gave her an engagement ring.
Yes.
And how much did you pay for this engagement ring?
Approximately $1,300.
You have the receipt?
No, I don't have the receipts. She has all the receipts to them. We had a joint checking account at the time. My mom left me a bunch of money, and I put it into account because I couldn't have a checking account. And so she paid for it, which was my money that was in the account. She paid for it with check. All the money that was put into the account was what my mother had left me. My mom left me approximately like $48,000, and it was all my money that was in that account. She had nothing.
Yes.
I took care of his mother. She was dying of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yes.
How long did you take care of his mother?
About 6 or 7 months.
Yes, she took care of my mother. My sister made her a deal. Paid her so much money a week, room and board. During the time she was there taking care of my mother, my mom still took care of her family, helped her mother out.
All right.
And
Let me
everything.
just a second. So what you're telling me is she wrote out the check for her own engagement ring.
Yeah, with my money.
Was it his money that paid for the engagement ring?
Yes, he put the money into the checking account,
All right.
and it was
Fine.
$1,000.
So it's his?
It was $1,000.
$1,000. Where's the ring?
It got stolen along with my VCR and some other stuff of mine.
When?
I'm not exactly sure. It was in my girlfriend's car.
Did you file a police report?
No.
Why not?
Because I had to have her. It was in her car.
So what? If the property was stolen out of the car, why didn't you file a police report?
Well, I didn't find out about it until later.
I
and
don't
couldn't
believe
get
you.
Well, it's true.
Oh, I don't believe you. How's that? You don't keep an engagement ring in a car.
No, she had my bags and stuff.
Did she have insurance?
No.
Then if she didn't have insurance, then you file a police report. Then you say to me, here's the police report. I listed it as an item that was stolen, and therefore I have some proof that it was stolen. So right now, sir, you're ahead of the game by $1,000.
Thank you.
On your claim. Now tell me about the van.
Okay, I bought, my mom left me money, and she had 3 wishes for me. One, okay, well, I bought this van on approximately October when I got a big check from my mom's inheritance that she left me. And she was supposed to go register the van as me as legal owner and her as registered owner.
Why did she do that?
For insurance purposes.
Why? What's wrong with you?
My record isn't very good that
Why?
way. Because I had a couple tickets at the time.
What else, sir?
And that's it. Just
The van.
tickets.
So you put the van in her name.
No, it was never finished in her name. What it was, she was supposed to go take it down there, and then when she left, after a big heated argument, she took the van, and just left. The next day, I go down to the DMV to find out what's up. They tell me that she's trying to put this in her name. And so I says, wait a minute here. So the DMV puts a stop on it. And as my witness will tell you, he's seen the money exchange at the time.
How much did you pay for the van?
I paid approximately $3,300 for it.
Oh, okay. Now, what's your story about the van?
For one, he wasn't there.
Just tell me what your story is about the van.
Okay, when we were waiting for the house to go through probate, he lost his job. We needed money to pay the rent, and we sold the Volkswagen van so we could pay rent. And he said that he would buy me another van, and he was going to buy a truck. And he
All
said...
right, so you sold his car in order to pay the rent?
No, he gave it to me, and he kept saying, it's up to you, it's your van. If you want to sell it. I said, well, we need to pay our bills.
All right, let's go. Let's go. So now we went and bought the van. He bought the van with his money, is that right?
Yes.
Is that van titled now? Is there?
No, it's not. It's right
It's
through
not
the middle of it all.
complete, but I have the paperwork here.
Good. Can I have it, please?
And then there's some
I'll
other
just give
jewelry
her
that's
all the
involved, too.
paperwork.
That's it. That's it.
And Your Honor?
What?
Can I say something else?
What?
When I went to the DMV to finish the paperwork, and the police came and said that it was on the hot sheet, I said, yes, I reported it stolen because it was stolen from behind my apartment.
How long did you people live together?
Off and on for like 15, 16 years. When my mom died, I tried to make it work, and it just wouldn't work. I was tired of taking care of her and her family. We went through a bundle of money, and like 3 months, we went through a lot of money.
And I don't have any indication that he made a gift of this van to you. He bought it, he paid for it, and shortly after you got it, you took off.
When I left, Your Honor, he said for me to sign off on the RV, and he wouldn't give me any problems about the van.
That's baloney.
Oh, just 1 second, just 1 second. Hold on a second. Oh, here we... Hold on a second.
He was there.
Shh.
He was there.
Hold on a second. You bought an RV?
I bought this RV at the beginning of her, when my mom gave me a first $10,000 check. I bought an RV to live in because my mom, when she was on her dying bed, said to buy this so you make sure you have something to live in.
Just a second. What year was that?
2000.
And at that point, you'd been together with her 13 or 14
No,
years?
we really weren't together off and on. What happened was we got back together when she was taking care of my mother.
When he needed help.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
and when she got paid for it, I even
Okay,
took her
just
to
1
Mexico
second.
on a cruise.
So before that, you weren't living together?
No, we only actually lived together after my mom died for, what, 10 months or something like that. A relationship was just like that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He almost killed me when his mother was alive, and I told him if he laid a hand on me that I would leave.
I haven't touched you in over 10 years.
Listen to me. I'm not interested. Get over it.
And later today,
Have you ever known her to be psychiatrically hospitalized?
Yes.
How many times was she in a psychiatric hospital?
I really couldn't tell you because I'm so used to being incarcerated, so I couldn't tell you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Merle Stutt says his former longtime girlfriend, Leylon Bailey, owes for the return of his van and the return of jewelry. Leylon says Merle has her belongings too.
Listen to me. Give him the title to his van.
Your Honor, he was there.
I don't care. He paid for the van. It's his van. He was stupid to say, go put it in your, you put it in your name.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
No, he told
Quiet.
me to.
Quiet. We don't have a long-standing living together for 15 or 16 years. You've known each other 15 or 16 years. You actually lived together for 10 months after his mother died.
We lived together before. And he almost killed me when his mother was alive, and I told him if he laid a hand on me that I would leave.
Then why did you
I
go
haven't
back?
touched you in over 10 years.
Then why'd you go back?
in the RV.
Listen to me. I'm not interested. Get over it. Get over it. You cared for her enough to give her an engagement ring, right?
Yes,
Oh.
at the time,
And he
yes.
bought me the van.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes, I'm agreeing with that.
Fine. And you get $1,000 for that because I don't believe her story for a second that it got stolen out of a car with a lot of other stuff without filing a police report because somebody has property that's stolen. You call the police and you say, this car was broken into and all my property was stolen. That's what a normal person does. All right. Now, you say that he has some of your personal property. What does he have of your personal property?
My microwave oven that my girlfriend gave to me.
Yeah.
He tried to give me an old broken down one.
Yeah.
And
What else?
my brass
Stop it.
collection, my angel collection.
What else?
And some clothes.
You have her angel collection.
She can have it all.
Sure.
She can
I
have it
want
all.
you to just pay attention to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have her angel collection?
Yes, it's in storage, and I'll give it back to her. So no
Pack
problem
it
at all.
nicely and give it back to her.
Yes.
Do you have a microwave that she had?
No.
Nothing else?
The microwave was given to both of us
Listen
to
to
put
me.
in a motorhome.
Anything else other than her angel collection?
I'll give her everything. I don't want none of her stuff.
What else do you have? I need to itemize it.
My mom gave her a rocking chair, which she can have, and the angel
And my sewing machine.
and the sewing machine. She can have that too.
What
Yeah,
else?
that's
So let's
all I
make it
took.
clear.
Okay.
Listen. The two of you, stop moving around so much. You're making me nervous. Angel collection, sewing machine, and a rocking chair. What else do you have, sir?
That's all. I don't know if the sewing machine and the rocking chair is in the garage because I went in there and she'd already been in the garage taking stuff out of it.
Do
so
you
we
have
to
the
ask her if she
sewing
took it
machine?
or
Yes,
not.
I got the sewing machine.
And what about the rocking chair?
I got the rocking chair. but-
Fine. So what we're talking about is an angel collection. 5 days from today, you make sure she gets
Oh, yeah, yeah, I will.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The only reason I left was because he hit me, and I told him if he got physically abusive with me again, oh
never
yeah,
touched
you
you.
never tried to kill me, huh?
I took her to Mexico, spent money on her, bought her clothes.
He almost killed me when his
Belong.
mother was alive.
Giving her family money, taking care of everybody. And I just got tired of it.
If they've been physically abusive once, they'll never change.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Charles versus Wooden. Step forward, please.
Production worker Phyllis Charles is suing her former friend, auto detailer Samuel Trell Wooden, for an unpaid loan for $1,000. Trell says Phyllis is lying.
Miss Charles, it's your claim that you made a loan to the defendant in the amount of $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says he never borrowed any money from you. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what all that junk is?
This here is this outfit that he bought, and we bought an amp from him because he said he was doing so bad.
Put it over there.
Thank you.
What did you make the loan for?
Well, he said that him and his girlfriend and his baby was going to be evicted.
Was he a friend of yours?
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Go ahead.
And after he told me that, you know, I was like, okay. And then my boyfriend said, well, you know, go on and loan the money. I said I would. He had a story like he needed $500 for his rent. He was going to move, which is why I didn't question it.
Does any of this sound right to you, sir?
I don't know what she's talking about, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Well, that's what he told me in my house.
Was anybody else there?
My boyfriend was.
Step up here. Tell me your last name, sir.
Washington.
Mr. Washington, do you know the defendant?
Yes, I do.
How long have you known him?
A long time. Now almost 20 years.
Well, do you remember this conversation in the house about money?
Yes, I do.
Well, look at me when you talk. Don't look at her. Tell me about when that happened.
Well, I think it was like in March that he had came to us and he was like stating the fact that he had needed some money for his rent. And at the present time, they were going to be evicted.
Mhm.
Now, all of us is good friends, so it wasn't really no problem about the money itself. And so shortly after that, there, you know, he came and he took us to the bank. We got the money out the bank, and she gave it to him.
How much money did you loan him?
$1,000.
Let me see proof that you loaned him $1,000.
I have that where I drew $2,000 out March 1st.
Why did you take out $2,000?
Well, the other $1,000 was for me. I bought furniture, I bought a entertainment center, and I paid some bills and stuff. That's it.
Is this a checking account?
Savings.
Now, did he give you any of the money back?
$100. I ran it off, and I put when he gave it to me.
Let me see. Now you can explain to me about all that stuff is that you bought,
Okay,
because maybe
what-
it has a reason in this case.
Yeah, maybe it does.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phyllis Charles says former friend Samuel Trell Wooden owes for a $1,000 loan. Trell claims Phyllis never gave him any money.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, he did come to the house, okay? And then about the end of April, I'll say.
After you had loaned him the money?
Yeah, after I loaned him the money.
Yeah.
He called my house. He wanted him to come and pick him up from Pet Boys. When he picked him up from Pet Boys, he came back with a bag with this outfit. And then I had him to call. And I said, why did, we call him Trail. I said, why Trail gave you, you know, the outfit instead of sending me my money? So he said, no, you calling, you asking. So I asked Trail, you know, you bought him an outfit and you didn't send me my money. Then all of a sudden I heard the phone just drop or hang up. So he called back. I don't know what was discussed between them on the phone.
Well, what happened when you called back?
No, he was like this, basically saying, you know, man, why is your woman, you know, calling my house with all that, you know, BS and stuff, man? I ain't with that. Won't you just tell that was like this gift, you know, because
I don't understand the word you just said to me.
A gift.
I want to know what was the discussion that you had with him after your fiance
when
gave
she
you a
called,
hard time.
when I called back, right, and he got back on the telephone, I told him, you know what I'm saying, man, what's happening? He said, man, look at him. Don't have your woman calling my house with all that bullshit. That's what he said. And so I was like, well, man, the girl want her money. You know, she hot about the amount about the money. You know what I'm saying? We bought the outfit, and I already knew it was going to happen like that, though. So then me and him, we further went to talking about the issue. Then that was it. That was the end of the conversation.
All right. Did you have that conversation with Mr. Washington?
I
no,
remember
listen
that.
to me. I want you to remember the conversation that you had with Mr. Washington. Did
I
you
don't-
speak to him about having his fiancée call your house?
I did speak with him about that.
And you told him to stop having her call the house.
That's right.
And she was calling the house about what, Mr. Wooden?
That I don't know. It's just something she just come up with. You know what I'm saying? Calling my house, talking about some money that I borrowed from her. Number one, Your Honor, I don't have to borrow no money from them because most of the time I'm winding up, you know, like he going to jail, I'm bonding him out of jail. If she got $1,000 to give to me, why she can't go bond him out of jail?
All right, you had a conversation with Mr. Washington. Do you remember hanging up on the plaintiff?
That's right. I remember that.
Because she was bothering you about money.
That's right.
And you've known her for how long?
24, 25 years. I've been knowing her for a long time.
For a long time. So now she's calling your house and bothering you about money that she says you borrowed from her, that you owe her. Is that
Yes,
right?
that's what she's saying.
That's what she said. Now, in the 24, 25 years that you've known the plaintiff, Have you ever known her to be psychiatrically hospitalized?
Yes.
How many times was she in a psychiatric hospital?
To be honest with you, I really couldn't tell you because I'm so used to being incarcerated. So I couldn't tell you.
Mr.
You know what I'm
Wooden, listen to me very carefully, sir. Do you know what I mean by psychiatrically hospitalized? In the hospital because you're nuts.
She is.
Have you ever been psychiatrically
No,
hospitalized?
ma'am.
Of course not.
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So she's not crazy.
Thank you.
So, Miss Charles, you've seen my courtroom before?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
So you know a few things. You know what I always say. If you're going to make a loan to somebody, you put it in what?
Writing.
Right! And you didn't do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So that
Yes,
was a big
ma'am.
mistake.
Right.
So you didn't learn really well.
Right.
So now you put me in the position of having to make a decision as to whether or not you loaned him money, because he doesn't say it was a gift, he doesn't say it was a payback.
Yes, ma'am.
He says, she never gave me any money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's why we put things in writing when we make a loan.
Right.
Because now I have to decide whether or not Mr. Wooden is a liar.
Right.
Or you're a liar.
Right.
Now, Mr. Wooden,
Yes, ma'am.
this lady you've known for 25 years, and she's not crazy.
She is crazy.
Shh, no, no, no.
About my money,
No.
yes.
She's not crazy. What she is angry
For what?
because you borrowed money from her, sir.
Nah.
Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. There isn't a reason in the world that I can think of, unless you can tell me the reason, why this lady who's known you for 24 years, or her fiancé who's known you for 20 years, would concoct this story about $1,000. She could have said, I lent him $2,000 because she withdrew $2,000 from her bank. She didn't say, I lent him $2,000. She said she lent you $1,000. And he was a witness. And she kept calling you on the telephone to say, where's my money? And then, and this you verified, she got angry when you went and bought the fiancé an outfit. She called you again. Why are you buying him an outfit if you owe me money? Give me the $25 or the $30 that you spent on his outfit. What are you giving it to him for? And then you hung up on her. And then he called you back, and you said he called you back. You see, little pieces sometimes make the truth. So you owe her $900 because you already paid her back $100. Judgment for the plaintiff. Put it in writing.
I will next time.
That's all.
Your Honor, this is case number 345 on the calendar in the matter of Butler versus Yandell. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Butler, you and your family and the defendant and her family used to be neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
While you were neighbors, it is your claim that the defendant harassed and defamed both your family and your son.
And assault.
And assault. And you want to be compensated. The defendant says that after a series of drive-by shootings, she contacted the police. And after she contacted the police, you harassed her, assaulted her, and caused some damage to her property. How long had you been neighbors?
Possibly 4 years. I've been living in my residence for 4 years now.
How long were you living in the
I
neighborhood?
moved in there January of 1999, and he moved in there probably a year following.
A year after? You were there first?
Yes, ma'am.
So you weren't there for 4 years?
Possibly 4 years, July of 99.
July of 99 is now 4 years. She was there first?
Yes.
Okay. How many people in your family?
Family of 5.
You?
My wife and 3 kids.
How old are your children?
Son is 15. Another daughter is 13. Greenwich is 12.
Okay. Before this incident, had you had any difficulty with each other?
No.
Gotten along okay?
Well, we just never was around each other to get along or not get along. I just, I knew the type of person, people they were, so I just kind of stayed my distance.
I'd like to speak on that. Basically, I would walk up and down the street to get my daughter from the bus stop from school, and he would always be outside with a bunch of people. This was a daily thing. He used to say hi to me. I used to say hi to him, too. As for him saying the type of person I was...
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
You said hi, so there were no problems.
No.
No problems, ma'am.
What happened in September of 2001? Because I assume that that's what precipitated this problem.
On September 20th, at about 2 o'clock...
in the afternoon?
Yes. Ralph came to my door, knocking at the door, says, I want to talk to Rod, which is my fiance. And then I said, okay, and then I went and got him. He came to the door. He goes, I want to talk to you, not your wife. He was like really, really like, I could tell something was wrong. And so he stepped to the door, and then he went outside and he closed the door behind him. So I was inside, and I was listening from the inside, and I could hear him yelling and getting really loud and rude with Rod, saying that your wife turned my stepson into the police, saying he's selling drugs out of my house. And then when he said that, then I opened the door and I told him, you know, Rob, you need to get your story straight before you come down here threatening me. I said, none of that is true.
There had been a problem in the neighborhood with some shootings?
Yes. What happened with that was right across the street from his house, there was a lot of drug members hanging out selling drugs, and there was a lot of drive-bys that started occurring, and this was about 8 months ago.
Well, that had nothing to do with him. This was across the street from his house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened was right, like side to side, on the same sidewalk area, my son was at the park in the sandbox. The first drive-by was about like 12 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And my son was out there when this happened. And my daughter comes running inside the house telling me, Mommy, they're shooting out there. And then I came out there, and then my son was laying down in the sand because he was scared, you know. He didn't want to get shot. And so then after that, there was about 3 or 4 more shootings within like a 2 weeks time period. There was 3 within 3 days. So every time that the police would come to check out the area, all these guys would run into the back of the carports, which lead into the back doors of the townhouses across the street from his house. So what I did was, my fiance and I, we walked down to speak to the officers. And we asked them if we could speak to them privately so we could kind of give them a feel out of who these people were to try and get this stuff resolved. So what happened from there was, when he came to my door that day on September 20th, he says, I'm not a punk B. You're not going to get away with this, you snitch. And he goes, the only reason you're saying anything to me right now is because Rod, which is my fiance, and my best friend Jeff, we were all there together. And he goes, that's why you're only saying anything. He goes, but you wait until you go walking down the street to get your daughter, you're going to get yours. And then he goes, snitches don't live long. And he takes off down the street really mad. Then he comes back about 5 minutes later with another guy that is a known drug dealer over there. He comes back up and he goes, you mother effers, snitches get stitches and they don't live long. And then the police showed up. And then they took my police report, which I have right here, and I stated everything that he said to me when he came to my door, that he threatened me.
I'd like to see them, please, Bird. What made you believe, sir, that the defendant had accused your son of doing anything?
Yeah, because, Judge, she was stopping the little kids in the neighborhood, asking the kids what was going on down under the tree down in there. She was spreading rumors to the little kids, harassing the kids, saying that me and my son was selling drugs.
Ma'am, that's not true.
No. I don't think that that's true, sir.
Well, that's true.
No, I don't think that that's true. She may have been inquiring about what was going on
And she's
there.
up here babbling about drive-bys and whatever. I wasn't in none of those cars. I'm no drug dealer. You know, I haven't shot at nobody.
She
I haven't
never
ran in nobody's
accused
house.
you, from what she says, and I believe her. She never accused you of doing anything. She said that the drugs were being sold from a location across the street from your house.
Well,
Not
Judge,
in
it
front of
says right there in her claim, it says that I'm a violent drug dealer and I threatened her life. That wasn't
If
said.
you'd like me to speak on that, I would love to.
Sure.
Okay, the fact of him selling drugs, I have a lady friend that walks through the neighborhood going down the street to the local store.
Did she buy some drugs from me?
Excuse me.
Did she buy drugs from me?
Mr. Butler, don't speak yet. You'll get a chance.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyways, the lady's husband would always come by, and he was like a real skinny drug addict. He would walk by to his house, come in, be there for like maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then split, be gone. And this man was continually going there, getting whatever he had to do.
And on a separate occasion, assaulted him with pepper spray. Karina denies making false accusations and claims the pepper spray was in self-defense.
Let's go back a moment. So he's outside talking to your fiancé, Rob. You hear him make these comments about snitches get stitches.
Yes.
You call the police and make a report. What happened after the police report?
The next day, my friend, which is my witness, Vicky Burciaga, she came over, and we were going to go walking down the street around the corner.
By my house.
Yes, by his house. I walked on the other side of the street, but before I did that, I told her the situation, and I told her that he threatened, really violent threats. So what I did was I had her carry some pepper spray, and I carried pepper spray. And I'm not going to lie about it. I had her carry a bat, which was out of sight, in case he approached me, which, in good thing, I did that. So we went to lunch. We went around the corner, had some Chinese food. He wasn't outside when I walked by the first time, on the other side of the street. So then when I come back by, he's sitting outside on his ice chest.
Now, when you walked back from lunch, were you walking back from lunch on the other side of the street?
Other side of the street, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, that's a lie.
Mom,
That's a lie.
I mean,
Just a minute. We're going to come back in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, I was on the other side of the street, and before I even got anywhere in front of his house, he seen me coming, and he started going off, just cussing and calling me all kinds of names. You better not come near me, I'll kill you, and just really like trying to be verbal. There was that teenage boy standing next to him. He says to the kid, go get Pam, which is about 2 or 3 houses from his house. Well, Pam steps outside, and she says, why are you threatening us with mace and a bat and asking all the little kids around here who's selling drugs? And I said, you know what, Pam? I said, Pam, that isn't true. And I said, what happened was Ralph came down and threatened to kill me yesterday. And right at that time, Ralph picked up this wooden table I have a picture of, and he picked it up above his head like this, and he called me a white Ku Klux Klan Nazi FMB. And he went like this to throw it at me. And right when he did that, I maced him as much as I could. And I turned around and started running.
So you maced him?
So I maced him, and when he threw that table, the table hit me lightly right here as I was turning to run. And then I started running, and I looked back, and he was coming, and he picks up this metal chair right here. He picks up this metal chair to throw at me, and I remember screaming, no, Ralph. And I kept running, and I fell down. And then I got back up, and I also had my dog on a leash with me.
That's how she got your scars, Your Honor.
Just a minute. You took your dog in to eat Chinese food?
No, he stayed outside. There's a tree like in the parking lot, and I had him on his leash, and he was tied to the tree.
You left the dog tied on a tree while you went in and had lunch?
Yeah. Well, if you've seen the area, you'd understand.
It's premeditated, Your Honor. She had, in fact, wanted to come down there and pepper spray me at that time.
Mr. Butler, I'm going to come back to you. I guarantee it.
Your Honor.
I'm just asking some questions. Mr. Butler.
Yes. I'll be good. I'm cool.
Your Honor, to tell you the truth, this neighborhood is known as the ghetto. To tell you the truth.
I don't care what it's known as.
So that's why I took my dog
tied to a tree while you went inside and had lunch.
Because he goes everywhere with me. It was, and plus the fact that, you know, in case anything happened to me,
so
you know,
you
some
walked
sort of
down the
security.
street, you had your dog in your arms, he picked up something, he yelled, Ralph, don't do that,
Yeah.
whatever.
And then I made it to my house and I called 911 and the police arrived about 30 minutes later.
So that's the assault you're talking about in your counterclaim?
Yeah.
Now the assault you're talking about in your claim, just pay attention, you're not listening, Mr. Butler. The assault you're talking about is being maced.
Yes.
Do either of you have any medical bills as a result of these 2 assaults?
No, it was just washing my eyes out at the hospital, going through all the drama, you know, just basically trying to hold my head up after letting this lady do something like that to me, you know.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to tell me, Mr. Butler, she's coming down the street with her friend.
Yes.
And when you first saw her, on which side of the street was she? Your side of the street or the other side?
Right by my house, just like it was a thing to do.
In front of your house?
In front of my house, it wasn't even 5 feet, you know, it was just right there.
Okay, and you're sitting outside?
Yes. Well, at that point, Karina...
She's walking by?
Walked by, she went to the store. She must have stayed at the store about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. She came back by, and at that time, I was sitting on the porch. She crossed the street and walked right in front of me. And I can't say what she told me, but she gave me an unpleasant gesture and told me I was lying. That's what she called me. That's her favorite word when she get mad.
That's not true.
So she walks over next door and knocked on the door. So she's trying to clarify and make them think that, oh, I'm lying about her calling all us. But as soon as, well, that's what she said.
Right now, you're on your porch.
Yeah.
And she's not on your porch.
She's not on my porch.
When did you come off your porch?
When she started pointing at me, cussing me out, I came off my porch and walked over across.
Where did you walk across to?
Right next door to my house. And
so you walked up to her?
No, I didn't walk up to her. The lady, my neighbor, was standing right here. She maybe be standing on this side over here. I was talking to Pam, and they arguing back and forth. And next thing I know, this lady said, you know what, and shh, and started spraying me. And yes, I did pick up a table, quite big table. And my intention was to bust her in the head with it. But I couldn't see. I was blinded by the pepper spray. I could not see. If I could have seen, I would have continued that. You know, that's self-defense in my book. When you leave your house with a baseball bat, a dog, and some pepper spray, that's premeditated. I didn't do anything to this lady to make her want to do that.
Considering that the day before you had had somewhat of a confrontation with the plaintiff, why did you choose to arm yourself with a bat and 2 things of pepper spray and walk right by his house, not once, but twice?
Premeditated.
Hey! Do I look like I need your help?
No.
Explain that to me.
Okay, ma'am. The simple fact why I did was because my daughter, she always comes right at the end of our street right here to the bus stop. The fact
you weren't going to pick up your daughter, you were going to eat Chinese food.
I know that. But if I wasn't going to eat the Chinese food, I would have been walking down there to pick up my daughter from the bus stop anyways.
Listen, one thing is necessary to go and pick up your child, and one thing is choice.
Yeah, I made the choice. Maybe I made the wrong choice, but...
You sure did. And you anticipated trouble. First of all, Mr. Butler, you were wrong to go down to her house and have this confrontation with either her or her fiancé or her husband or whoever it was, because I don't think you had all your facts straight. Yeah. Now, from what I gather, she was trying to find out so that she could tell the police who was selling drugs on her block so that she would be safe from these shootings that were happening. Because that's why...
I would like to be safe too.
Just a minute. And my sense is she was asking around children in the neighborhood, what do you know about drugs being sold and from where? You told me that. She was asking, which, you know, is kind of gutsy. Most people, when they're faced with that kind of situation, they don't ask any questions. They say, I better stay in my house and keep my doors locked. But you got annoyed that she was poking her nose around, which was the wrong thing to do on your part. She wasn't doing
But I didn't break any laws. She did when she pepper sprayed me.
Just a second. That's not true, sir. If you went up to her house and said, snitches get stitches, that is breaking the law.
That's not what I said, Your Honor.
I would like you to tell me, Mr. Butler, and think very carefully, sir. What did you say to her fiancé when you came to the house that afternoon in September?
I was attempting to talk to him like man to man.
No, don't attempt it. What did you say to him?
I asked him why is his wife going around spreading rumors like that about what we're doing down there in my house. She could say that we were selling drugs. I asked him why she going around spreading those rumors.
Who had told you that she said you were selling drugs out of your house?
The kids in the neighborhood. She was stopping them, asking them was I selling drugs down at my residence.
So she was asking them. She wasn't telling them. Okay, so you asked them, and then what happened?
And me and him didn't get a chance to finish the conversation because it took both her husband and her friend or whatever to hold her. She was going to attack me, calling me. She said she's tired of living around all you drug dealing, and she wished we all just move. I said, well, if you have a problem with black folks, why are you still living in the neighborhood? You know, I said, somebody holding you? And I left. I turned around and walked off. I was this, that, and he couldn't do nothing with her. He trying to hold her to keep her in the house. She was physically trying to attack me.
That's not true.
You know?
Okay, let me stop. I think that you made a mistake, Mr. Butler, when you went down to the house and tried to confront people without getting all the facts. If you believe that the defendant is a hothead, I certainly would have made other arrangements to speak to the fiancé. But
that's what
I think that she certainly has the right, living on that block, to go around and ask a lot of questions to find out who's selling drugs in that neighborhood, which is causing an element to come onto that block, which is endangering everybody, including children. That's not accusing you. That's asking a question. If you don't like the question, that's too bad. But she has absolutely no right to arm herself and her friend with mace and a baseball bat, and the day after this confrontation, go walk down your block. Well, she said she was carrying a dog. Couldn't have been a huge dog.
You big enough to bite?
How big a dog?
A dog, he had 50-some teeth in his mouth, big enough to bite, you know?
How big a dog?
A dog. It's not, you know, it's not no poodle, he was a dog.
Not a poodle?
No.
Okay, I find that you put yourself in harm's way by being stupid enough right after this altercation to walk by, arm yourself, looking for trouble, go out to eat, come back in the same direction, pass by his house, cross over to his side of the street. I mean, you're just looking for trouble. And you found it. You looked for trouble and you found it. And you started...
Might I add one thing?
No, does it sound like you're losing?
Well, no, I just want to say one word.
No.
Huh?
I talk.
Okay.
Do you allow your wife to talk?
Yeah, I don't control my wife. She does what she pretty much wants to do.
Yeah, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. You had no right
I know.
to spray him in the face. He has to be compensated for that civilly if that's what he wants. Now,
That's
some
what
of
I
that
want.
has to be mitigated because, Mr. Butler, I believe that you got a little hot under the collar.
Yeah, but can I explain one thing to you?
I don't want you to explain anything to me. I want you to listen.
Yeah.
You got hot under the collar.
Very hot.
Right.
Yes.
Before you got sprayed with the mace?
No.
Sure you did. You were hot when you came down there to talk to her friend.
But I didn't go to her residence. She came to mine.
No. She didn't, Mr. Butler. You were sitting on your porch when she walked by. You went over towards Pam's house, where she was, and the two of you started talking. Now, your wife is sitting there, and she looks like a very nice lady, and she's nodding her head up and down. You got hot. That doesn't excuse getting maced in the face. Doesn't excuse that at all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yana, this is case number 453 on the calendar in the matter of Magliazzo versus Conroy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Magliazzo, this is your son. Tell me his name.
Dylan Magliazzo.
Dylan. All right, he's going to stand right behind you. According to your complaint, your son was run over by the defendant in a parking lot.
Right.
Is there somebody who can take care of him outside?
My brother.
Well, do you want to take him outside and let your brother take care of him?
Mommy.
Good. According to your complaint, the defendant ran over your son's leg in a parking lot. He was in a truck, and you want him to pay your medical bills and for your son's pain and suffering.
Right.
Mr. Conroy said, in effect, you should have been watching him more closely as he was running around the parking lot. I might have responded somewhat differently, Mr. Conroy. What kind of truck were you driving that day, sir?
A Dodge pickup truck.
Big truck.
Half-ton.
And your son suffered no broken legs, is that right, madam?
Right.
If a half-ton truck ran over a 2-year-old's leg, which according to you happened, that child would not have walked out of this courtroom today.
Well, he did.
Impossible. Impossible for him to have run over the child's leg with a half-ton truck and not had a broken bone. And if he did, he was a very lucky little boy. Very lucky. So if he was so lucky, what I want to know from you is, why are you here?
First of all, when he did hit my son...
Just a second. Let's go back. So you're really going to go through with this. You're in a parking lot. Is that right? What were you doing in the parking lot?
My son wasn't running around the
What
parking
were you
lot.
doing in the parking lot?
Standing out front. My son wanted to watch
Shh. You were standing out front of what?
the parking lot where my son's father lives.
You have a picture of where this happened?
I do.
Can I see it, please? What time of the year was this?
August.
So there was no snow on the ground like there is in this picture. I want you to have her take a pen, Bird, and mark down where she was standing with the child at first, and then where the child was allegedly run over by the defendant. Where she was standing?
Right here.
And where the child was run over by the...
Right here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's where she was, and that's where she says the child was hit.
So you tell me what happened, madam. You're standing outside the parking lot with your son.
Right. And my son wanted to watch the electric company. They were putting power lines there. He wanted to see the big trucks. So we're standing out there. My son's...
How many people? You, your son, and who else?
10 or 12 other people.
Were there other children?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My son had walked away from me, and I went to go grab him. And Mr. Conroy pulled in the parking lot and then reversed his truck back. Obviously didn't look in his mirrors to see that my son was behind his truck. Hit my son in his head, knocked him over, then was on top of my son's leg. Me and my son's father were screaming and yelling, banging on the man's truck to get off my son's leg. He just looked at us like he didn't know what was going on or anything. Like, it's not even that he didn't know what was going on. We told him, you're on my son's leg, get off my son's leg, and he just looked at us like we were out of it. And finally, after the electric company, the guys from the electric company ran over and everybody ran over, I think he finally realized he was on my son's leg. Well, he pulled his truck up, got off my son's leg, not coming over to see if my son's okay, if he hurt my son, not asking.
When he got off your son's leg, who picked up your son?
I did.
Then did you put him down on the ground?
No.
You didn't let him walk to see if he was okay?
Oh, I picked him up, yeah, and he couldn't even stand on his leg. His leg was like that swollen. I then immediately took him to the emergency room.
Why weren't you watching him more carefully?
I was watching him.
No, you weren't.
He obviously wasn't watching where he's going because he knows kids are in that parking lot every day.
Listen to me, madam. You weren't watching him carefully enough.
So that gives him the right to not...
Listen to me, madam. You weren't watching him carefully enough. How old was he?
2.
And you're in a parking lot, is that right?
In front of a parking
You're in a parking lot.
Right.
Now, I have 8 grandchildren, and I'm still have sufficient brain power to remember when my children were little. When my children were little and I had a 2-year-old, or when I'm walking around with one of my 2-year-old grandchildren in a parking lot, they hold my...
He did have my hand.
He did have your hand?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, shh, quiet. He did have your hand. Then is what you're telling me that when Mr. Conroy hit him and knocked him over, you were holding on to his hand?
No.
So you weren't holding his hand?
No.
Right. What I'm saying to you, madam, is when I'm in a parking lot with my 2-year-old grandchild, or I see my children walking with their children when we pull into a parking lot, we're going someplace, they run out, grab the hand, because they know they're not allowed to cross a street without holding somebody's hand. They're not allowed to be in a parking lot without holding somebody's hand. So
right, but
you weren't holding his hand.
I mean, if you drive a truck, don't you look in your mirrors to see if there's anybody behind you?
I'm not saying that he's without fault. I'm saying to me, you seem to think it's all his fault, and it's not.
Oh, I know it's
You're
not.
the parent. It's primarily your fault. Now, should he have been watching where he was going? Absolutely. And should he have been more careful if he saw a lot of other people there? Absolutely. And sometimes there's a little child dart out so that even if you are careful, you could miss him? Absolutely. You're not supposed to miss him. That's your only job.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How am I to know if he was drunk?
How am I to know you weren't drunk? Only a parent who might be drunk or under the influence of something would let a 2-year-old march around by himself in a parking lot. That's what you did. That's what you did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Magliazzo says her 2-year-old son Dylan was run over by Michael Conroy. Michael says the boy was running around in the parking lot of a bar.
Your only job and his father's only job that day was to make sure that your 2-year-old was holding on to an adult's hand in a parking lot. Right?
Right.
Right. And if you weren't, so that you were acting irresponsibly as a parent, and if you're lucky enough to have gotten away with a warning from God that this is what can happen to you. You can lose your child if you're not more careful, because he wasn't hurt, because he clearly walked out of here.
He has sleeping problems.
That's your problem.
No, it's not.
Well, whose is it? His?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that's what a lawyer told you. Did you go to see a lawyer?
Yeah.
Now, what'd the lawyer tell you? Pretty much the same thing as what I'm telling you? That's why you're here. Well, he says you have a child in a parking lot. You're supposed to hold their hand.
Does that give him the right to not see?
It's not a matter of right. Don't you seem to get it? He's driving in a truck, and I'm not saying he's without blame. You walked in here saying to me it's all his fault. He ran over my child. He didn't care. He was callous. We kept knocking on the window. You think that this man had a predetermined position to knock your son over, a 2-year-old over, run him over, and when you were banging at the door to tell him to get off your son, that he said, hell with them, I'm just going to keep my truck on his legs?
No, because how am I to know if he was drunk?
How are you to know? I don't know. How am I to know you weren't drunk?
Oh, I was
Only
drunk.
a parent who might be drunk or under the influence of something would let a 2-year-old march around by himself in a parking lot. That's what you did. That's what you did. Now let me see the medical bills and let me see the report from the police.
One of the medical bills was already paid.
Good.
By his
That's what
insurance
you're supposed to
company.
do. Then I'll get to you, Mr. Conroy. Now, when did the police contact you, Mr. Conroy?
About an hour and a half to 2 hours after the accident.
Why did you go home?
I waited around about 45 minutes to an hour. Police to come, talk to the father. I said, if anybody comes, contact me.
Okay. Final reports. No fracture, no dislocation, and everything else is normal there. Then we go to 3 days later. They also found nothing wrong with the child at that point, and you took the child in there because you said he was having trouble sleeping.
He was waking up crying, saying in the truck.
The reason that you could not get a lawyer to take your case is because your son was not injured. Not every act requires people to take the matter a step further and bring on a lawsuit. You should feel, as I indicated before to you, very, very lucky that despite what could have happened to your son, because you were not vigilant in taking care of him, and because Mr. Conroy probably should have been more careful when he was driving his truck when he saw other kids and people around in the parking lot, despite that, your son was not hurt. The only thing that was reported by you was 3 days later, you went back to the hospital and you said he's having trouble sleeping. That's why you could not get a lawyer to take your case, because in order for there to be liability, there has to be an injury, and there was none. Now, it's possible that your son's going to have, even at his age, a bad recollection for a while about what happened when he was knocked down by a truck. That's possible, but it will pass.
Right.
He was 2 years old. And it will pass.
But it's a sleeping disorder. It's a post-traumatic sleeping disorder.
Let me explain something to you, madam. Don't tell me what it is. Are you a psychiatrist?
No, but that's what the doctors...
I'm not interested in what you tell me that the doctors say, because that's not what it says here. And I'm telling you, you're going to have another baby?
Yes.
This is your second child?
Third.
Third child. How old are you?
19.
19. I would suggest that you pay more careful attention to your children at age 19. It's your job to take care of them. At 19, you shouldn't have 3 children to begin with. If you have to take care of them.
I do take care of my kids.
And not put the responsibility of taking care of your children onto somebody else. It was not his responsibility to watch out for your child in the parking lot that day. It was your responsibility and his child's father. And the fact that there was almost an accident, a tragic accident, because your son could have been really hurt or killed or worse, is not his fault. It's your fault. He is partially responsible, and if the child was hurt, I might have found him partially responsible for the child's medical bills.
So it's okay.
But he was not hurt. And for that, you should say, thank God, and not bring a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I screamed for him to get off my son's leg, and he just looked at me.
When I did hear him, I did stop. That's why I didn't run over the child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hollis versus Kirkland. Step forward, please.
Inventory control clerk Lori Hollis is suing her former live-in boyfriend, salesman Alex Kirkland, for unpaid rent and bills. Alex says this is revenge for their breakup.
Ms. Hollis, according to your complaint, a couple of years ago, the defendant lived with you. I assume you were in some sort of a relationship when he came to live with you. You say that he owes you money for rent and other bills. Mr. Kirkland says he doesn't owe you a thing, that you never had an agreement with regard to rent, and when he was working, he gave you money. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. When did you move in together, or he moved in with you?
June 10th, 2001.
And how long did you know him before he moved in with you?
From October 1999 for a little over a year and a half.
Why did he move in with you?
He had gotten into a situation where he needed a place to live. And
I don't know what that means.
He had broken up with his girlfriend at the time, and he needed a place to live. He was moving out of his place. And so I offered to let him stay with me.
So he wasn't your boyfriend at the time?
No.
He was just a friend?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
And we had an agreement that he was supposed to pay me $450 a month plus, half of the living expenses, utilities. And about 10 days, I think it was like the 25th of June, he had lost his job. And he lost his job under circumstances which prevented him from being able to collect unemployment. I was a friend of his, and I had faith that he would get a job soon and, and be able to adhere to our agreement. But he stayed unemployed all the way through March 2002.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left.
He's consistent.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Hollis says ex-boyfriend Alex Kirkland owes for rent and bills. Alex says Lori is a vengeful woman.
Let me tell you what you just told me. You just told me that he broke up with his girlfriend and he had to move out of her apartment, right? I assume it was her apartment because she wasn't leaving. He was being forced out. Is that right? That's why he came to live with you.
Well, I don't know the circumstances of their relationship. So
well, certainly he needed the place to live. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, as soon as he got to your house, he lost his job. And when you say he lost a job under circumstances under which he could not collect unemployment, which means he didn't leave voluntarily. He left because he got caught doing something wrong. Well, if you get caught doing something wrong, then maybe you can't collect unemployment, because if you get fired, and if you've had a work history, then you can collect unemployment. So now you have faith in him that he's going to get a job, but he doesn't get a job. So you can, if he's just your friend, you say to him, toodaloo. Well, but you decided not to. So why are you here a year and a half later looking for rent?
Well, all the time that he was staying with me, well, in September of 2001, he decided, he instigated a conversation with me to take our relationship further, because we had been friends for a real long time. We cared about each other, and I loved him. So
that's why you let him stay.
I let him stay.
That's why you let him stay.
And he continually told me that, don't worry, you'll get a job and he'll pay me what he owes me, and so on. But soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left. And
he's consistent. He's consistent. So what are you complaining about?
Well, the fact that
you cared for him. He evidently was not committed.
I do have a signed rental agreement by him, though.
Let me see it. When did you have him sign a rental agreement?
Well, I tried to use it as so in a child support hearing to prevent his child support from being raised.
Were you involved in the child support dispute, sir?
Yes.
Is that why you signed this agreement?
That is why I signed that agreement.
So, according to this, you owe her for a year's rent.
According to that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And?
I didn't really remember signing that agreement. And once she brings it, now that she brings it up, the reason that I signed it was to take into court to show that I was living at a place and everything was on the up and up, and for them not to raise the child support, which they did anyway. It had really nothing to do with rent. She agreed to help me knowing the situation that I was in. I did pay her. I signed my complete checks over to her once I started working, and I didn't move out right after I got a job.
When you say you signed your complete checks over to her, how often did he do that? How many times did he sign his complete checks over to you?
He did the first check he got in April. He did, because we were kind of in the rears at rent at the time.
So how much was that?
I don't know how much.
How much was that? Do you remember?
I believe it was around $500 from what I had left from the child support.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved out in July 15th.
Okay. Mr. Kirkland, what you're suggesting is that you took this piece of paper. You were sworn to tell the truth.
That's correct.
And the judge asked you what your expenses were?
Yes, he did. I told him that I wasn't working, and those are expenses that were against me.
You gave this to the judge when you were under oath and said, these are my expenses.
Yes.
My rent is $450 a month.
That's correct.
I need this for transportation. I need this for clothing. Is that right?
That's correct.
So now you're coming into this court, and you're telling me in this court that this was merely meant to fool the judge in the child support proceeding.
That's not correct.
Of course that's correct. That you furnished this document to the judge in the child support hearing in the hopes that they would not raise your child support, but that this agreement was false. You were not supposed to pay $450 a month rent. So you furnished this to the judge in that hearing in order to fool that judge. Your fair statement?
I guess that would be a fair statement.
Got a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Michael versus White. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Anna Michael is suing her former roommate, 20-year-old receptionist Bridget White, for the return of a computer. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Anna broke their apartment lease.
Miss Michael, you and the defendant were best friends, roommates, and it is your claim that the defendant took from you a computer that you had paid for, or mostly paid for, and you want $1,000 that you had put into the computer that she took.
Correct.
That's your claim. Miss White says that, yes, she took the computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
because the arrangement was it was going to be yours when you fully paid for it, and you still owed some $300 on the computer. When you paid the $300, the computer would be yours. Is that right?
Yes.
So she gets her money, she's got the computer, which I assume is in good condition.
Yes.
Good. Now, Ms. White has a counterclaim. She says you stuck her with 11 months on a 12-month lease. She was able to negotiate herself out of the lease, but as a result of that, she lost her security deposit because you left.
Correct.
So she wants that money back from you since you left the apartment. And she also says that you took with you a camera that was half hers. She will explain to me. So let's take care of the computer first. Can I see the receipt for the computer? How much it cost? Total purchase, $1,314. You paid $1,000.
Correct.
So you owe her $314.38.
Correct.
Correct? So you're going to give her that and she's going to give you back the computer.
I've tried.
Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today's date, we will make a transfer. You will get your $314.38. She will get her computer. Is that clear?
Yes.
Correct. Oh, you're not going to get much more out of her. Correct. Correct. Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Michael says former roommate Bridget White owes for the return of her computer.
Now, let's talk about this lease. How much was your security deposit?
The total security deposit was $400. I paid $266.66, and she paid $133.37.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Now, tell me why you left.
I left because it was an unsafe environment for me.
Explain it.
Her boyfriend was living with us. He occupied the second room. He was involved with illegal activity. I did not want to live that kind of lifestyle anymore. I didn't want to put myself in that position or environment, so I left.
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Selling them, yes. I could smell the marijuana in the room. Using them, I have no proof.
Yes, you could smell the
marijuana. Make it the other way around.
I think you meant to switch that around.
Oh.
That you could smell it, so yes, he was using it, but you don't know if he was selling it because you don't have any information about that.
Well, I saw there was money on her bed at multiple times, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Michael, you said you didn't want to be involved in that lifestyle anymore. Had you been involved in that lifestyle previously?
No, ma'am.
So you misspoke when you said you didn't want to be involved.
Yes, I did
misspoke.
Misspeak.
I say you misspoke, you say yes. Did misspeak.
Correct.
Love this case. So did you have an argument? She told you she moved out?
She never gave me a reason. I came home at lunch, and she was gone.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She called me that Friday morning at work and said, "I'm leaving."
Okay. Now, the lease was in whose name?
Hers, mine, and 2 other girls.
What about your boyfriend?
He wasn't living there.
Was he staying over?
He actually stayed for 3 days. That was a couple weeks before that.
Why did you leave?
I left because of her boyfriend.
Then why didn't you say to her, if your boyfriend comes to stay here and is going to be involved in drugs, I'm going to have to leave? Instead of just saying, I'm leaving, I'm out of here.
Well, it wasn't that easy.
Well, explain it to me.
We had a roommate, and she left on the 11th of July. And so in order to compensate for that month's rent, Bridget brought in her boyfriend, which I interpreted and was led to believe that he would pay for the rest of the money of that month. So he was living there. I did not know that he was going to be involved with legal behavior inside our room. I did not know that. So I told her I would no longer live with him, and I would not live with him through her. And because of that, I left.
All right, now talk to me about the camera.
For our birthdays, which are a week apart, her sister, who is a good friend of mine, bought us both a camera, and it was to both of us, and when she left, she took it with her.
So you think her sister bought you a present?
No, it was for both of us. She bought us more than just the camera for our birthdays. Her sister was a good friend of mine.
Somebody had to take the camera.
Huh?
What's huh? Somebody had to take the camera.
Yes. She actually took it. She didn't discuss anything with me, so I just said, that's fine. If you'd like it, you can pay me for half the value.
She's not going to pay you anything for the camera that her sister bought for her birthday. This is the way we're going to resolve this, ladies. And listen very carefully. You would ordinarily have to pay her, in order to get your computer back, $314. Do you understand?
Correct.
That means you pay her $314. You also owe her $266. Do you understand? She shouldn't be responsible for your skipping out. You should have made proper arrangements. When you move in to a place, you're supposed to make arrangements if you want to move out, not just to say toodaloo, and the people who were there are stuck. She lost her security deposit.
So did I.
So?
What does that make? I don't. Does
So
that make
you
us
lost
equal?
your security deposit, but you caused her to lose hers also.
But she signed off on a transfer lease.
So?
I couldn't live there anymore.
I don't know where you went. Where did you go?
I was homeless for a week.
Where did you sleep?
On the floor in my friend's room.
That's not being homeless. That's being young. Listen to me. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $588. That is $314 for the computer and $266 for the money that you were out as a result of this aborted lease. You will get your computer back. Clear?
Clear.
Good. That's all.
This is case number 2.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Damaris versus Harrington, Adinolfi. Step forward, please.
20-year-old homemaker Shannon Damaris is suing her former friends, 19-year-old salesperson Holly Harrington and 22-year-old car salesman Tony Adinolfi for the return of her cat, Smokey.
Okay, Mr. Maris, you had a cat. Your cat's name was Smokey. Something happened, you had to move from where you were living, you couldn't take the cat with you, you asked the defendants who were friends of yours if they would take care of your cat for a while. That while turned into a long while, and now you want your cat back, and they say it's not your cat anymore. It's our cat.
Right.
Right, okay. So I need some facts. When did you get Smokey?
Smokey was given to me about 3 years ago.
What do you mean about 3 years ago? Let's get a month and year.
November of '99.
By whom?
My boyfriend's brother.
As a kitten?
They had him as a kitten, and then they gave him to us, yes.
But you didn't get him as a
No,
kitten?
I didn't get him as a kitten.
When you said he was given to us, you were living with your boyfriend at the time?
Yep.
So the cat was given to your boyfriend.
He was
and
given to us as a couple, yes.
And then you got custody of the cat when you separated.
We never separated.
So you're still together?
Yep.
Oh, that's so interesting. When did you give the cat to the defendants?
I had given the cat in her custody in the middle, probably around the 15th of February.
And when did you ask for the cat back?
I asked for the cat back in June. That's a lie.
Let's say you asked for the cat back 5 months later. Where were you for 5 months?
I had asked for the cat in June because on my birthday, which was July 21st, is when I attempted to actually get the cat. But
That's July.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
had
6 months
attempted in
later.
June to get the cat. I said I'm going to be taking the cat, and she just kind of put her head down and walked away.
Fine. So then you didn't do anything in June. So the first time you tried to get the cat back was in July, which was 6 months later. Where had you been for 6 months?
I had been living with my parents. My landlord at the time, I had to move in with my parents, and the landlord didn't allow it because we had 3 pets already. And when my dog died, that kind of gave me an opportunity to bring another animal in, and my landlord allowed that at that time.
Where was the boyfriend?
He's incarcerated.
When did he become incarcerated?
On January 24th of 2002.
Is that why you lost your apartment?
Yep.
Okay. How many animals do you have now?
We have 2 cats.
Did you have those 2 cats before?
Those are my parents' cats.
Well, where are you living now?
I'm living with my parents.
And these 2 cats that are your parents' cats, have they ever lived with Smokey?
No.
They have not?
No.
Why would you want to take this cat back now?
Because
now we're talking about almost a year later.
The reason it's a year is because they dragged it out, basically. I attempted to get. I told them in June that I.
Listen to me. July is when you first. That's 6 months. We're not talking about bringing home a sweater or 4 new tires. According to the defendants, it was supposed to be a short-term arrangement for a month, and you were also supposed to give them some money to take care of the cat, which you never did. Is that right?
That's correct.
No money, no vet bills, no food, no anything else. But more importantly, you're treating this as if it was an inanimate object.
I care very much about my cat.
I don't care about you. I don't care about you. You have a cat. You disappear for 6 months. You're out of the picture for 6 months. That animal has bonded with a new family, And now you say a year later, I want my cat back.
I attempted to get my cat back, and they dragged
6 months later.
No, about 4 months later.
No.
There was no agreement of how long. The thing is, I couldn't take care of the cat at the time, and me and my friend came together, and she said, "I will help you out."
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm her witness.
To what?
To what happened about the agreement and everything.
She wasn't even there, Your
She
Honor.
wasn't even there.
She was there.
No, she
Oh,
was
well,
not.
come on. When were you there?
Your Honor, technically I wasn't there for the agreement, but...
Sit down. Then I'm not interested in technically. If technically you weren't there, this is a court. This is technical. You're suing for $500. You're not getting the cat back. How much is the value of the cat to you?
He's part of me is what he's the value of it.
Part of you. When something is part of you, like a child, then you don't give it up for 6 months.
I didn't give it up for 6 months. I attempted to get my
Let
cat,
me
and
ask you
they dragged it out. And I offered them
No,
money.
you're not following, madam. What you did was tell me that the cat came into their possession in February. You told her in June you were going to be coming for the cat, but you didn't go there until July.
Yes, I did.
That's 6 months.
I went there several times, and I visited with the cat and everything.
Now, just a
and
second.
she never mentioned
Just wait a
ever.
second. Did you go to visit the cat every day?
Not every day, about
Did
twice a week. About twice a week I'd hang out over there.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Sure it is. Case is dismissed.
53-year-old Carol Tarrant is suing her granddaughter-in-law, 25-year-old nursing assistant Stacy Rollins, for breaking her wrist during an assault and for stealing her property.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Tarrant versus Rollins. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Tarrant, Miss Rollins is or was married to your grandson.
Right.
And according to your complaint, she and your grandson lived with you for a period of time.
Yes.
And then they separated. She left.
Yes.
So far, is that correct?
Majority of it.
What's wrong with what I said?
We did live with her and everything, but my husband asked me to leave.
Well, you separated. That means you did separate.
Yes, and we are still married.
They separated.
Yes.
She left.
Yes.
And then you claim that she came back to get some of her property.
Yes,
When
twice.
she came back to get her property, there was an altercation involving you, as a result of which you broke your wrist in 4 places.
Yes.
And the defendant also took some property of yours.
Yes.
The defendant says you fell, she had nothing to do with breaking your wrist, and she has no property of yours. Is that right?
The only property I have of hers is this bag that she asked for. And I've been asked
Anything
my
in the
husband to
bag?
come get it. I have no idea. I've never opened it.
Can I get the bag?
It
from you,
wasn't
please?
mine. I put it off to the side.
Okay. Let's see what's contained in the bag. And then we'll get to this altercation. Well, one of the things you said she took was the camera.
Right.
Is that right? This looks like a camera case. And there's a camera in here.
Yes.
Okay. And a couple of other rods and ends, but I assume that this is the majority of what you're asking for back.
Yes, it looks like.
Okay, good. So let's give this back to the plaintiff, please. So then we're just going to deal with this injury to your arm and this assault. A few questions. What date did your husband ask you to leave?
June 29th.
How long had you been living with the plaintiff?
We moved in there July 5th, 5 days after we were married.
Of the previous year? Mm-hmm. So you were there almost a year?
Almost a year.
And who moved in? You, your husband, and you have a child?
Yes.
How old is your child?
She's 5.
But she's not the child of this marriage?
No, she's not.
Now, when your husband asked you to leave, did he ask you to leave on the 29th of June?
Yes, he did.
So you must have had an argument.
I'm not really sure. He was been very stressed lately and said he needed some time and asked me to leave, and so
And you
I
did. When he asked you to leave, did you give him your key?
No, from my understanding, he just needed time. He just needed a little space.
And what did you tell Miss Tarrant when you left?
I did not speak to any of them.
Really? I mean, you
Yeah.
lived with the lady for a year. You didn't have any conversation with her at all?
No, my husband asked me to leave, and I grabbed my daughter and a couple things, and we left. I figured I was coming home that night.
But you didn't come home that night?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I said he needed more time.
Now, when was this incident when you did, in fact, return? And there was an incident involving Miss Tarrant and her wrist.
That was the first time I spoke to her. That was August 2nd.
Tell me about it.
We arrived at the house.
Who's we?
Me, my couple family members, my friends.
How many people arrived in the house?
In the house there was 9 total, I believe.
That you brought with you?
Yes, to move my things out. I had not spoken to my husband refusing contact. I figured...
He refused contact?
Yes. And I figured my daughter's going to be starting school. I need more of her things, and I also needed more clothes. And so we went to go get my things, and upon arriving, found all of them packed up and shoved into one little room of the house.
How did you get into the house?
With the key.
The key that you had?
Yes.
Didn't it occur to you to call Miss Tarrant first and say, we're coming over to get my things?
Well, my things were there. My husband and I are still married. That is also my husband's home.
This home belonged to whom?
Both her and my husband.
It's my home, but I put my grandson's name on it for when something happens to me, he'd be able to sell it.
When you met your husband, where was he living?
In an apartment.
In an apartment?
Yes, because he didn't want to live with his grandmother anymore.
Fine. But at some point you moved in with her?
Yes.
So you and your husband moved into her home?
Correct.
So it didn't occur to you, Miss Rawlins, to pick up the phone as a human being and say to her, I'm coming with 9 people to your house to get my property? Is that time okay for you? Is that day okay for you? I haven't been there in over a month. That strike you as something that would have been a nice thing to do?
Well, every time I called the home or whatever, I was usually hung up on. So I did not have that opportunity.
Did you ever speak to her?
No.
Well, your husband works. Is that
correct?
True? Did you
and
ever
that's why we went during the day, because I knew he would be gone and she would be there. She usually never leaves the home.
Good, so that you knew that she would be there. Why didn't you call her first and say, we're coming over to pick up my stuff? Is today a good time for you?
Because it was a good time for me and I was just going to go get my things.
Well, you got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve. The lady takes you into her home with a child that's totally unrelated to her. You stay there for a year. You and your husband have some sort of a falling out, and I don't even want to get into that because I have no idea what it's about. But you're gone for well over a month. You don't come by yourself to pick up a few little things. You come with 9 people invading her house without so much as a telephone call first, and you expect her not to get agitated?
No, I understood why she was agitated.
You did?
But I also felt that, and she said herself that I was there to pick up my things.
But you understood she was agitated because 9 people invaded her house.
Oh, no, when she got there, none of us were in there, except for the minister's wife, who was keeping her dogs under control so they didn't get loose.
Tell me how you broke your wrist.
After I came home and seen everything was in the trucks, I seen some things out in the truck that my grandson told me not to let her take. And so I was walking out toward the trucks. She grabbed a hold of my arm, and I have osteoarthritis, so I'm not really that stable. That's why I can't run. I have to walk slowly. And as she grabbed my arm and turned me around, I fell. And I went down on my right wrist.
You have the medical records?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
Can I get help? Because she has everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to hear your version of what happened, how her wrist got broken.
I'm assuming her wrist got broken when she fell.
Yeah.
There was trucks and cars and everything in the driveway and so on. We were moving out. And she came out of the back porch door and started yelling. And then she had noticed a vacuum cleaner that was in the back of my stepfather's truck, which was parked out on the road. And she just said, "You're not taking that vacuum," and started running. And right about the part where the grass and the sidewalk meet, there's holes and everything in that yard, and I'm assuming she fell. I was pushing a lawnmower in the driveway at the time and walked over there to help her. Said, "Grandma, look what you did," and tried to help her up, and that was when she proceeded to throw the phone that she had in her hand at me, and I decided to walk away.
Good, you're responsible for her broken wrist. I don't care whose version of the events is accurate.
How is
I don't
that?
care whether you held her and twisted her around, or she fell when she was running after one of the trucks that you brought with you. You're responsible. You created the situation by not making a prior arrangement with her and invading her home with 9 people who were uninvited to her home to clean.
They knew I was coming.
Who's they?
They all did. They packed up my things. They were waiting for me to come get my things.
On that day?
I didn't even know my things were packed up. They assumed.
Listen, don't be a swift talker. You understand exactly what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is they had packed up your things, put them away in an orderly way. You said in one corner of a room. That's what you told me.
It was all shoved into one room.
That's fine, shoved into one room. It was all packed up. She was expecting a telephone call from you to say, "Grandma, can I come over on the 2nd of August to pick up my things? Is that okay with you?" Sure. You're going to bring people? Yes, I'm going to bring 9 people with me to your house. 9 people to help me move. Because I know you're going to be alone that day, because I know he's working. So I'm going to come with 9 people, some of whom you know, some of whom you don't know. We're going to come into your house. I just want you to be alert to that so that you don't get frightened, you don't get scared. You did none of that. You just went when it suited you. Didn't suit you to go on August 1st. It didn't suit you to go on July 29th. It didn't suit you to go on July 28th. Suited you to go on August 2nd. Maybe it didn't suit her for you to go. Maybe she was having a bar mitzvah for somebody in her house on August 2nd. And it wouldn't be convenient for her, for you to be removing stuff with 9 trucks. So you are responsible. Because if she got agitated because you hadn't made arrangements for an orderly transition.
But that was still considered my home.
It is not. No way. No way is it your home. You abandoned your home. You abandoned her home.
I did not abandon the home.
Oh, yes, you did. You abandoned the home. You were gone for 32 days, according to you, and decided that that would be a good day for you to come and retrieve your property. And you and your husband moved into her home. He didn't live there when you got married. You said he lived in an apartment. And the 2 of you moved in, maybe because his apartment was unsuitable for you and your child. But you moved into Grandma's house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
he promised to pay me back. But then he comes over to my place and he goes, Janice, just consider yourself a $5,000 hooker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Tarrant says her granddaughter-in-law, Stacy Rollins, owes for breaking her wrist and stealing her property. Stacy says Carol's injuries are her own fault.
You moved in to her house, and you knew it was her house, so you're responsible for her injuries. Got a lot of nerve. Do you have any medical coverage for these bills?
Medicare paid most of it.
Okay, so you're really suing for pain and suffering.
Well, I have a $9,000 hospital bill that they didn't cover.
Really?
Yes.
Why not?
They paid $2,000 of it.
And they didn't cover $9?
No.
And you still have the house in your name?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew that Judge Judy would get the truth.
I guess she just got what she wanted, like she usually does.
I don't know what I could have done. I had the phone in my hand. I guess I should have called the police as I was walking out.
There's no settling outside the courtroom with this family.
It was very frustrating.
She's playing this little innocent act in front of the judge of an elderly lady. And she's not.
I was so upset when I came to her home and she was holding her arm.
I do feel sorry, but she shouldn't have been running through the yard like that.
She was in a lot of pain.
Relation with the son, I'm sure everything's just deteriorated, unfortunately.
I just hope everything can be settled and that they could just leave us alone.
But you were the aggressor with the pepper spray. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Gregory versus Billsbach Termont. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the 2 defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors. So
what was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's the wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam.
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
If it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we...
I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words. Trash it or fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody is on heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So
Honor,
you have to pay for all the damage.
maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. They'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically the trailer is worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't
has
you
it
just
insured.
live there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids. When we moved in,
If you're, just a second. Did you move from your family's house into this property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up.
What did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles. Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes. They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts. Sherry told us to get rid of them. Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it says...
So it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I heard
when
you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in,
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired.
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
Because the roof was completely collapsing when we first moved in. We tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section.
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
as a landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her...
Oh, may I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused, because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this. It was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. Okay. So we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it.
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, while we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys. But I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
we had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for 20 bucks, and for another 50 bucks, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Your Honor. Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice, go and get bills, go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that does not just need seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to two teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy a material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean, it's something
How much did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
For, shh, quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The
Oh,
neighbors
they don't
are-
want to know you. I got news
The neighbors
for you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We had,
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
well, in Nebraska it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because
hearsay.
it got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean,
Sure.
it didn't...
It was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
Spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting...
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in sub-negative 30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it,
told me
starting,
she was
listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
Throwing rocks, I just walk away.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Garrison versus DeTrolio. Step forward, please.
25-year-old fraud specialist Katrina Garrison is suing her former friend, 29-year-old import coordinator Stacy DeTrolio, for her portion of a security deposit. Stacy says she's already paid.
This case deals with a loan that the defendant needed for an apartment rent deposit. Is that right?
Correct.
And you two ladies were friends?
Yes.
You were moving?
Yes, I moved in with a roommate.
You moved in with someone?
Yes.
Who already had the apartment?
No, we both moved in together. It was a house.
And what was the rent on this house?
It was $1,500 first, last, and deposit.
So tell me when you approached the plaintiff about the $1,500 loan.
It was around August, and I believe that...
Beginning, middle?
Beginning.
Did you approach her by phone or in person?
In person.
Was it at her house?
Our house.
You were living together at the time?
No, my house. We'd already moved in, and we had already paid the first and deposit. We needed the last.
Had she come over to visit?
Yes.
Who was present?
Me, Amy, and Katrina.
Who's Amy?
Witness.
The witness. She wasn't your roommate?
No.
All right, so
we were
you
all
came
friends.
over with your witness, and the three of you had a discussion. You told her that you needed $1,500.
Yes.
Tell me in your own words what you said.
I actually approached Amy, because Amy and I were very good friends, and she said that Katrina probably would help us out. I never really asked right up front. It was just kind of like, well, Katrina probably will, and I mean, I wasn't looking to borrow money from Katrina. But
you did.
But
So
I did.
You had to have said something to her.
Yes.
Come on.
That we needed help with the last month's rent.
And what did she say to you?
She said, okay.
When did, after that conversation, did she give you the money?
Few days, a couple days.
Did she give it to you in check or cash?
Check.
And you have the check?
I don't have the check. I didn't have time for them to get it from the bank.
You have your bank statement?
I don't have the bank statement either.
Why not?
She said she don't borrow the money. There's no question about that, whether she borrowed the money.
Just a minute. There's always a question to me. You're supposed to come to court with evidence. Evidence would be a check, canceled check that you gave her.
I have emails that state that she borrowed the money from me.
Okay. How much did you pay her back?
$700.
Check or cash?
Cash.
How much did you pay you back?
$200.
Check or cash?
Check.
You have a copy of the check?
No.
You have a copy of the check?
I don't have a copy of the check. I just deposited the check into the bank.
The first one was $200 in cash, and the rest was, or $200 with the check, and the rest was cash.
Why did you give her cash after
Because she didn't want a check, she wanted cash. And we were friends, so.
Why didn't she want a check? Had she had trouble with your check before?
Probably.
She gave me the check on October 23rd, and I was not able to cash a check until December 29th. And I went in on every single payday. She works with her at the same company, so I know what her paydays were and everything. So I
wish I would have had a copy of that check.
I
because
walked
that's not
into the
true.
bank every morning on the 1st and the 15th of the month to cash a check, and the funds were not available.
My paydays were the 7th and the 22nd, Your Honor.
What difference does it make?
That's not the truth. So.
Well, Ms. Petrolio, common sense would suggest that if you had given her a check once and she had absolutely no trouble cashing it, then she wouldn't have insisted on cash for the remainder of the money that you claim you gave her, right?
Well, you can assume that,
Right.
I suppose. Yes.
Right. Well, that sounds like a logical assumption. That's what I would do. Somebody gave me a check and I was able to go put it in the bank. I would say, fine, give me a check for the rest of the money. Now, you have a rather interesting defense. Your defense is that you really paid her back.
My share.
Your share.
Yes.
You say you paid her back $700 in total?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Shh, just wait a second. You said you gave her $700 in total. 7 and 7 is 14. You borrowed 15.
The $100 was a fee.
A what?
Some kind of loan fee
that my other roommate at the time was going to pay because I paid more of the rent part of it.
It doesn't make any difference.
Her other roommate.
Just a second. Your defense is that only half of this money is attributable to you, the other half is attributable to your roommate.
Exactly.
When did the plaintiff have a conversation with your roommate about the money? What does that mean?
Well,
what does that mean?
She knows because we had the discussion about Christy paying half.
To you?
Yes, to me.
Not to her.
Right. No.
Not to her.
I told her, too, that Christy was responsible for half of that.
No. She was responsible for half of that to you. You assumed that your roommate would pay half.
Yes.
Because that's your defense. Your defense is get it from my roommate.
She's got the wrong person. I paid my share, and she
Not
knows
to her.
that.
No, that's what she knows. That goes into the operation of her mind. If she had a contract with two people, then you are absolutely right. The two people would be responsible for the return of this money. If, however, she had a contract with only one person, and she made that verbal agreement with one person, and that's you, then you are responsible for getting half of that money from your roommate, not her. You can't say, this loan was for both of us, I'm going to pay my share, you go and get the rest from my roommate. It's your job. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. You understand?
I understand perfectly.
Perfect. Now, what I don't understand, Ms. Garrison, is you acknowledge, if I believe what you say, that you only received $200 from the defendant.
Correct.
You talk about these emails about a paper that she signed. Where is it?
I moved, and I have been able to find it. It was a promissory note that she signed by herself. Amy,
That's
my
not
witness,
true.
That is true. My witness was
doesn't
there
make any difference
when she signed it as well.
I'm just curious as to why you didn't bring it if it's in here.
It's because it didn't prove her case.
Well, you should have a copy.
I
You
didn't
signed
get a
the
copy
note.
because she's my friend, or was my friend.
Just a second. You sign a note, you keep a copy.
Well, I guess I'm not that smart.
Well, I'm not so sure. You borrow money, you don't pay it back. That makes you pretty smart. It says here that she gave you $600.
She wrote that.
Oh, I understand that. But what I'm looking for is for your answer when you say, you never gave me $600, you only gave me $200.
It's because she can't.
It's in there. Shh. It is in there.
Show me. I want the response to her $600. Because first she says 7, then she says 6.
Your Honor, I also have an affidavit from my roommate that I live with now.
Not interested.
That proves...
Not interested.
Oh, okay.
In your affidavit from a roommate.
I have a witness here that was present at the house when Katrina came over and I gave her money.
I have never seen him in my life.
She was not inside the house either.
Just a minute.
She was outside the house, which she didn't come in.
Just a minute.
Can't see what you don't if you don't come in the house, right? Sorry.
Basically, I mean, most of it in here it just says...
Listen to me. All I'm interested in is your response, which says, where do you get $600? Could you just point out where you say to her, you didn't give me $600? Is it in there?
That's right. Well, it's right here. This one's from Stacy, and then this is my response.
Okay.
Right. That one, and then that's the response.
Okay. Court finds that the defendant owes you $1,300, that she has in fact paid you $200 by check, and that's it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount $1,300. That's all.
Matter of Bowman versus Benningfield.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
You're Miss Bowman.
I'm Miss Bowman, her mother.
Okay, but you weren't there.
No, I was not there at the time.
Why don't
Thank
you
you.
Ms. Bowman, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Right.
Who's going to take his hands out of his pockets as we speak. Very good. And according to your complaint, after you broke up with him, 2 things happened. You claimed that he trashed your car, causing substantial damage, and also in a scuffle over a knife, he caused you to cut yourself, and you want him to pay your medical bills. When did you break up with him, and where did this happen?
At his home on June 27th.
How long had you been going out with him?
Since February.
Did you tell him in person that you were breaking up with him?
Yes, ma'am.
At what time of the day or evening did you tell him?
7.
You broke up with him on the 27th.
Right.
At about 7 o'clock in the evening?
Right.
And then I assume you left.
Right.
Was there any discussion at that time?
No, his sister and I both left after I broke up with him.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
We had gotten in an argument, and I was just like, it's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's just break up.
Did he say anything?
No, a normal breakup.
I mean, don't remember.
Not like...
And then you left?
Right.
Did you subsequently come back to the house?
Yeah, later on that evening.
What time?
Yes. It was probably around 3 o'clock in the morning.
And who did you come back with?
His sister.
And what happened when you came back at 3 o'clock in the morning?
We went to sleep, and nothing happened. We woke...
Who went to sleep?
Sarah and I.
Where?
In Sarah's room.
Okay. So you went to sleep at 3 o'clock. What happened when you got up?
We woke up.
What time?
Maybe around 11. We were going to the hospital to visit his mom in the hospital, Sarah's mom also. Then we went to the hospital, came back around 4:30, and when I got back, I looked at my car and I noticed that it had been really bad kicked. And
where had you parked your car?
In their driveway.
Now, when you left at 11 o'clock in the morning to go to visit his mother in the hospital with your friend Sarah,
right?
Did you see your car?
No, I had not paid any attention to it whatsoever.
When was the last time you had actually looked at your car?
And no damage had been done to it?
Yeah.
The day before, on the 27th.
What time?
8.
8 at night?
Right. When Sarah and I had left, there was nothing wrong with my car.
Do you have a photograph of your car after the damage? That was from a movie, right? I always loved that movie, right? What movie was that?
Gotta think about that one.
Oh, I know what it was. I know. No. I know what it was. I know what it was. Runaway Bride. It was Runaway Bride.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's a ladies' movie. Did you see the movie?
No, ma'am.
But you know what I mean when I say look in my eyes.
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So someone did a real number on your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went into the house?
And called my mom, told her what had happened.
And that's why your mom is here, because the car is really your mom's.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And called the police. She told me to call the police. He was telling me, don't call them, it's not that big of a deal. And I called the police.
Well, did you ask him what happened to the car?
I said, what happened? I don't know.
And he said, I don't
wasn't
know.
here. Right.
And then you said you were going to call the police.
Right.
And what did he say when you said you were going to call the police?
Don't call the police, it's not that big of a deal.
And what did you say to him?
I said, my mom says I have to. So I went ahead and called the police, made a report, and when I had called the police, the officer came to his house, and the officer came, I made a police report. He said, did he do it? The police officer asked me if he did it and thought I was protecting him, but I didn't have any idea. You know, I thought in my mind that he did do it, but there was no, I saw you do it. So that.
Right. So what happened next?
Well, after the police officer had came, he wanted to talk to me. I was really upset. I was crying. I was really upset. And I was like, no. You know, Sarah and I were getting ready. We're going to get dressed, and then we were going to go out that night. And we were arguing. And I don't know how it all started, but he pushed me. Sarah got up. Sarah and him started fighting. And then I got in the fight because I didn't want Sarah or either one of them to get hurt. And we were all just started a big fight. And then he started grabbing knives and was like, I'm gonna...
You're lying.
Go ahead.
He started grabbing knives saying he was gonna kill himself first. He held it to his stomach. Then he said to his wrist and everything else. All the meanwhile, Sarah and his 9-year-old cousin are both there. And after that, he had grabbed a steak knife. And he was like, I'm gonna kill myself. We were standing over by the refrigerator. Sarah and his cousin were in the living room by the phone getting ready to call the police. And when he went like this, I put my hand like this, and that's how I got stabbed.
So you were trying to
prevent
him from hurting himself.
Exactly.
Okay. Did your cut require stitches?
Yes.
How many?
2. But it is 2.5 centimeters deep. My palm is numb. Half my thumb is numb. I'm still going to hand specialists to see.
Ms. Bowman, I just have a couple of questions for you. You break up with this guy. he has a sister who's clearly a friend of yours. Don't you think it's a good idea that after you break up with him, you don't go back to his house and contemplate going out with his sister and hanging out with his sister so that he's aware of all these things?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
His sister was my best friend. We had been...
So what? So let his sister come to your house.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
It's just not smart.
Right.
You know, it sort of says to him, trash to you.
Right.
You know, I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to go have a good time, and I don't care if you're heartbroken, and I don't care if you're miserable, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just not smart.
Right.
Not thinking. You know, you didn't think.
Right.
Anything?
I tried to keep the relationship between us after the incident kind of steady, so...
You can't keep it steady. It was just 24 hours old.
I'm talking about after.
I'm talking about at the time of this incident. The breakup was 24 hours old, and you're gallivanting around town, hanging out and doing whatever you want to do with his sister and coming home 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm not being judgmental about that.
Right.
I'm just saying to you, don't do it in front of him.
Right.
Because it made him mad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenna Bowman says ex-boyfriend John Benningfield Jr. kicked her car in a fit of jealous rage. Jenna also claims she was cut with a knife when John tried to kill himself.
Let us start with incident number 2. Let's hear your version of the knife incident.
Okay, well, see, yeah, we was arguing, you know, and
What were you arguing about?
yeah, I really can't remember. But we was arguing and stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to leave. You know, I'm just going to get out of here. And she was like, well, why don't you go kill yourself? Or why don't you go kill yourself? Or something like that in that
Excuse
area.
me?
In that area. And I was like, well, do you want me to? Because I was just so mad, you know, and so frustrated.
What were you mad about?
Just because we broke up, you know. And I did like her, you know, kind of a lot. We went out for, what, 6 months? And, you know, I mean, that's pretty longest relationship I've ever been in. And
So you were really mad?
yeah. And I was just like, okay. And I mean, I didn't have it up like this. I had it right here across my, you know, right here. And then my sister tried to stop me, and I was trying to protect the knife so she wouldn't get cut, you know. And then I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, she runs over here and she gets cut. And then as soon as I see she's cut, I threw the knife in the sink and then helped her, you know, tended to her. Like I got to town, you know, and I told Sarah and them to call 911 because I didn't know, you know, how bad it was. And then, yeah, the police came and...
Well, that was the second time the police had come.
Yeah, yeah.
Police came twice. The first time they came about the car.
Car, yes, ma'am. And they took me. They gave me. They was going to take me to jail, but they
Take you to jail for what?
For assault with a deadly weapon. Because I guess she was going to press charges against me, but they ended up didn't, and then took me to rehab.
Well, she
with her.
really assaulted herself with the deadly weapon that you were
Right,
holding.
yeah. Right? Right. That's why they took me to rehab, to the hospital, instead of taking me to jail.
Well, there's a difference between rehab and a hospital.
It's in the hospital. It's rehab in a hospital.
What kind of rehab?
It's
I
was trying to think. I don't know. It's just they got a bunch of for drugs and for people that are.
Well, for drugs.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Who were you hanging out with that evening?
Josh Cato, my friend. See, the 27th, when her car was we supposedly did it, we was in Gap Hollow in, where is that? Elizabeth, Indiana. And we didn't leave there until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when we left there, we went back to his house. And when we got up at his house about noon, I come back to the house, and she was like, what did you do to my car? Why did you do this to my car? And I'm
Well,
like,
at the time she left the evening before with your sister, you weren't in Gap Hollow. You weren't there. You were home because she said, I'm leaving and I don't want to talk about it
when
anymore.
they
You
left,
were home.
Right. When they left, we pulled out of the driveway because he parked his truck in our second driveway, and she was parked with my sister and my cousin, and they was going to the hospital.
Who do you think kicked her car?
I have no idea, because his truck said 2 weeks before when we moved into that house, somebody took a baseball bat and keyed his truck.
Why would you tell her not to call the police?
I don't remember saying not to call the police.
Yeah, you did. Why would you say don't call the police? It's no big deal.
I have no idea.
Mr. Benningfield, you have no idea.
Right.
I have an idea. Let me see the estimates on the car and let me see the medical bills.
These are the hospital bills.
Give her the estimate.
And this is the estimate for my car.
Don't you have insurance on this car, Miss Bowman?
If she hit someone, we only have, because
Liability.
I'm a single parent, I can't afford the.
That's a lot of kicking damage on that car, sir. Need really heavy boots to do a kicking job on a car like that. Ms. Bowman, what caused you to break up with the defendant?
Because he was controlling and he was mean, and every time I went out with his sister, I get yelled at when I came back.
How old are you?
16.
How old are you?
19.
Did he ever use any drugs in front of you?
Well, okay.
Answer the question. The
Okay.
answer is yes or no.
Yes.
What kind?
Xanaxes. Can I tell you something? He was taking Xanaxes the day that this
What is
happened.
Xanax?
Xanax is a,
Depressant drug.
right, for,
People that get panic attacks.
right.
How long have you been taking medication?
Like, just pretty much the time we was going out.
Is that by a doctor's prescription?
No, ma'am.
What?
Yeah.
You take that on your own?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from?
Just my friends, people I know.
These people that you know, I assume with medical licenses, know how much to prescribe for you?
They wasn't prescribed. She's making me look like the bad person. She took them herself. She's done everything that I did, she's done.
Mr. Benningfield, the problem is that you caused some damage.
I didn't do that.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, you did. There's no question in my mind that you did. And there's also no question in my mind, but for the fact that you had taken this knife and were using this knife in a way suggesting that you were going to harm yourself, she wouldn't have gotten stabbed. Now, whether that was a result of taking, try to pay attention. You're 19 years old. Trust me, you don't know everything. You think you know everything. Maybe you think he knows everything. You think you know everything? But for the fact that you probably are operating only on partial cylinders because of this medication that you're taking, sir, you reacted to her breaking up with you in a way that was off balance. Now, am I saying to you that she did the right thing by going out with your sister and still having a relationship with you? The answer is no. I think she acted like an immature 16-year-old. And your chronological age is 18, right?
Right.
Translated, probably about 9. And that's what 9-year-olds do when they don't get what they want. They hit, they scratch, they mark up somebody's walls, they do a whole bunch of things.
She had the police involved. She went and she was going to press charges against me. And I had to go up to Sellersburg Police Department to give them a statement. They said they couldn't do nothing. She supposedly gave them all kind of, witnesses that I supposedly admitted it to them. But them same witnesses, when the cop asked them, did he tell you this? They was like, no.
I don't care what they said, sir. I'm telling you, you trashed her car. You want to know how I know you trashed her car? Because I can see it. I can see what happened when she left and how angry you were. How angry you were even the next day, because you said that's why you grabbed the knife, because you were so angry, because you really liked her. And here she was telling you, I'm breaking up with you and I'm going to hang out at bars, friends, whatever, with your sister. And I'm leaving, bye, and she leaves you there all by yourself with your medication and your friend. Grow up. Listen, you both got to grow up. I give you some latitude because you're only 16. You're 19 and no genius, but you're going to pay for the damage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which well exceeds damage to the car and your medical bills, $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was a great decision.
It's crap that she can see these things.
2 girls told me he kicked my car and that he had a new girlfriend, but I wasn't worried about the new girlfriend. It was just a coincidence.
We was trying to work everything out when all this was going on, and then I just got tired of waiting, and I started with this other girl that I know.
Finally now, she knows, we all know the truth.
And then she found that out, and then this one, all this, she started suing me just to try getting money, because she's for money.
Don't date psychos.
Matter of Danilova versus Starry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Ms. Danilova, it is your claim that the defendant purposely damaged your car by throwing a coffee mug at it, which caused it to dent and something to crack. The defendant says he absolutely did that.
Yes, I did.
And he says he's got a good reason. So I have a few questions to ask you. I gather that you people really don't know each other.
No.
But you live in a house that's in a cul-de-sac, and you have a friend that lives in that cul-de-sac, whom you visit frequently.
Well, not anymore.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
And you've been told before by people that live on the street that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of driving at an excessive rate of speed?
Yes.
Where?
Freeways, mostly.
How many speeding violations do you have?
Since I had my license.
So I assume that you were driving before you had your license. You're not going to tell me that. You're going to tell me after you had your license. How many speeding violations have you had?
I think like 7.
7?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be beyond a reasonable person's imagination that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that Mr. Starry threw a coffee mug at your car?
Me and my sister were driving to pick up my friend. As we were driving by Mr. Starry and his friends, I don't know, my windows were up, so all I heard was just a bunch of yelling, and I saw a bunch of people outside on the sidewalks in the street.
So that there were people out there. Were there adults and children?
I saw adults, mostly.
Or maybe you were going too fast to see the children.
No. It's the cul-de-sac that they live in. It's really hard to speed because it's at a curve, and there are cars
Most
parked.
cul-de-sacs are on a curve. That's what a cul-de-sac is.
Well,
so you went to pick up your friend, and what happened after you went to pick up your friend?
While we were in her house, some ladies came up to the door, said, you know, she was speeding, you know, slow down, and I acknowledged that.
So you acknowledged that you were going too fast?
Yes,
on that day.
I listened to them.
Why did you do it?
I mean, I wasn't speeding like going 30, I wasn't going over 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour is not what you do in a cul-de-sac. Then you left. In the car. You were driving. Is that right?
Yes.
And what happened?
As we were driving by Mr. Starry, something was thrown at my car. It bounced off, and that's when I stopped the car and got out to see what was going on.
Did you exchange words?
Yes, we did.
What were the words?
Well, he was just yelling at me to, I don't know if I could
slow down.
Well, he was just yelling and screaming and getting in my face. He didn't say it politely.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, on the day in question, I was inside my house when she came into the neighborhood, and my wife and 2 neighbor ladies went to the door and knocked on the door and asked her to slow down. What they reported to me was they laughed and slammed the door in their face. When I heard
that sounds right.
When I heard that, I got irritated. When she backed out of her driveway and screeched her tires to come up the cul-de-sac, without really even any consideration, I stepped out in front of her and threw my coffee cup at her car.
Can I say something about what he said?
Sure.
That car could not screech tires if you tried because it's a Corolla and it was an automatic. When the ladies came up to the door, it was my friend's mother who actually opened the door. And I don't think she would slam the door in their face.
Did you
She
laugh
came
at
up
her?
to us saying, there's ladies outside saying you guys were speeding. We're like, well, okay.
Is that what you said, like, well, okay?
Well, my friend came up to the door to talk to them, and they were just yelling and screaming, saying, you're speeding, you're speeding.
And you said, well, okay.
I said, okay, I understand. You know, what else am I supposed to say?
Okay. Now, would it be a fair statement that prior to this incident, you would go and pick up your friends pretty often?
Almost daily.
Now, after this incident, would it be a fair statement that you don't go to pick up your friend anymore?
Yes.
Oh.
Shh, just a second. I'm sorry. That you don't go there every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go there every day anymore because you're frightened to go on that street.
No, I don't go on that street anymore because he constantly harasses me. I've had this whole summer.
So that you are frightened to go on that street because he harasses you. And you're afraid what might happen.
Yeah, he's threatened me before.
Not before this incident,
Not
you
before
said.
this incident, no.
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fair to say that as a result of him throwing a mug at your car, you don't go to pick up your friend anymore.
Yes, you can say that.
So you accomplished your purpose. Is that right? Just answer my question. So you accomplished your purpose. You don't have to worry. Just listen to me. You don't have to worry about her as you did previously.
Now it's that way, Your Honor, but it wasn't that way until after, I would say, June or July.
Fine, but then you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Is that
but
right?
I finally had to take her to another court for attempting to run me over in the street.
But now she doesn't come back.
Finally, yes, and I'm happy with that.
Now, I absolutely think that each of you should bear a certain responsibility with regard to this incident. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. I'm awarding you $1. The rest of it's your fault. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That dollar thing was totally uncalled for.
I'm happy.
I did what he wanted me to do. I stopped coming over there. I stopped speeding.
I'm happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Haddon versus McCallum, step forward, please.
25-year-old retail manager Cynthia Haddon is suing ex-roommate, 23-year-old ticket broker Andrew McCallum for breaking their lease. Andrew says he broke the lease because Cynthia is unstable.
Miss Haddon, the defendant was your roommate, according to your complaint. You claim that he moved out in the middle of the month of September 2001, owing you some rent and bills, and he also took some property of yours. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant said he's all paid up. When did he move in with you?
We moved in.
You moved in together?
Together.
And you were just friends?
Yes.
You signed a lease?
Yes, we have a lease that we shared.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, begins on September 15th.
It's beginning the 15th of each month.
Absolutely.
And you moved out on September 16th. Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
When
Moved
did you?
out on September 15th.
Okay. So you signed this lease, sir. Is that right?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
And the lease requires that you give 30 days written notice to the landlord.
Okay.
May I see that, please?
I actually, I had spoke with our manager of the apartment complex, and basically I explained my situation.
Don't tell me what you explained to the manager of your apartment complex, sir, because it says that no oral notice is acceptable.
Okay.
Okay. Did you move out subsequently?
No, Your Honor. I've maintained the apartment. I've stayed there.
Okay. Do you have a new roommate?
Yes, as of October 15th, I have a new roommate.
Okay. And how much was your share of the rent?
My share of the rent was $400, Your Honor.
Actually, Your Honor, we
Why?
had an agreement beginning in the end of August. Andrew and I had a conversation where I asked him, since his girlfriend was moving in, if he could actually split the cost of the rent halfway down the middle, and he said not a problem. So that would be $425 apiece.
Well, did he pay half the rent in August?
No, beginning September's rent.
Oh, forget it. Then he moved out.
Yeah, then he moved out.
Then he moved
exactly.
out. So he owes you $400 for September's rent. So you have to give a $400.
And then-
Now, what about utility bills, etc.?
I have the Edison bill, which was not the month for Andrew, but the past due balance of $87.79, which reflects the month before that, is the month that he was there.
Did you pay that bill?
Right here, Your Honor.
What's the date on it?
The date on it is 9/15. I actually wrote this check. I post-dated it. I wrote it on the 13th. Your
Was it
Honor.
cashed?
Was it cashed? Yeah. Sitting right
It's
here. I got
cashed.
it from my
May I
statement.
see it?
It was written to Southern California Edison.
Yes, Your Honor, that was also for the month of August's bill. We were in mid-cycle when he moved.
Well, I don't know that, madam. You don't have the bill. He has a check for $191.70 dated 9/15/01.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have that bill that he paid, actually, and it shows the dates on there.
8/2 to 8/31.
Yes, Your Honor. He moved out on September 15th.
Oh, stop it. Stop annoying me with petty stuff. He doesn't owe you $87 for 15 days.
I called the
He
Edison
doesn't
company.
owe you $87 for 15 days. What else?
I also have a copy of the cable bill in the amount of $71.77.
For what period of time?
It was actually for the period of 9/22 to 10/21.
He wasn't even there to watch cable. Next.
I loaned him my television antenna in his room for his television, and he took that with him.
Did you take an antenna?
No, ma'am.
What else?
He also took several items from me, ranging from CDs to Nintendo games.
CDs. How many CDs did he take?
Right now.
I can't believe I went to law school for this. What CDs did he take from you?
I have a Creed CD, a Sugar Ray CD, Alanis Morissette CD, and an Eminem CD.
Nope.
Do you have those CDs?
I have Creed. I have purchased on my own. I probably can find the receipt if I wanted. I don't own any of the other ones. So, Your Honor, the answer is no.
What else?
Also a 007 Nintendo 64 video game.
You have something to say. You have the Nintendo game?
That's my game. I have the credit card receipt at home for that game.
She says it's hers. You say it's yours. How am I supposed to figure
There
that
were
out?
two. He had one of his own, and I
Yeah,
had
we left
one.
one there, and I took mine.
Also, Your Honor, on September 16th, I went and saw him there removing his stuff from the property. He had with him my belongings, which was a television cart stand. I saw it immediately and knew it was mine, and I took it back.
as well as a CD tower rack. I noticed that, and he gave it back. And I also had realized that my Nintendo 64 controller was gone, and I asked him for it, and he gave that back.
Why did you pack up those items that weren't yours?
Okay. The CD tower rack she had given to me in the month of March because I needed another rack for my CDs.
And what about the other stuff?
The Nintendo controllers, it was pretty much a foul-up. I have a total of 5 controllers that I bought myself. I do have receipts for because my other controllers had been faulty.
So it was
I
a
bought new
mistake?
ones. It was just an honest mistake.
Okay, what
so
about
I handed it right
TV
back with a smile
stand?
on my face.
TV
stand? I didn't even have a clue about that.
Well, you took it.
Huh?
You took it.
Yeah.
But it was a mistake.
It was a mistake, Your Honor.
Right. He owes you $400 for his share of the rent. He didn't give proper notice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, कैसे हैं आप? जैसे कि आपको मालूम है कि मेरा नाम महद है और हमने अपना चैनल शुरू किया है कंप्यूटर शॉप के नेम से, तो उम्मीद करता हूँ आप सब खैरियत से होंगे। और ये कि हमने अपना चैनल इसलिए शुरू किया है कि ताकि आपकी बेहतर रहनुमाई हो सके। कोई भी मसला हो आपका कंप्यूटर के रिलेटेड, लैपटॉप के रिलेटेड, कोई डाटा रिकवरी हो, कोई इंस्टॉलेशन से रिलेटेड, कोई भी इशू हो, आप डायरेक्ट मुझे मैसेज कर सकते हैं। नंबर मेरा बायोस में अवेलेबल है। आपको कोई भी ट्रबल शूट आ रही हो हार्डवेयर से रिलेटेड, सॉफ्टवेयर से रिलेटेड, तो आप मुझे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। नंबर मेरा बायो में है। और ये कि हम आपको न्यू फीचर्स अपलोड करते रहेंगे वीडियोस से रिलेटेड, ताकि आपकी बेहतर रहनुमाई हो सके, ठीक है। और ये कि आप मेरी वीडियो लाइक करें, कमेंट करें, सब्सक्राइब करें, ताकि आपको मेरी लेटेस्ट वीडियोस जो हैं वो आपको मिलती रहें, ठीक है। तो बाकी उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपको हमारे चैनल से बहुत फ़ायदा होगा और जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ। इंशाल्लाह कोई भी आपको मसला मसाइल हो, परेशानी हो, आप मुझे DM कर सकते हैं। हमारे लिंक पे सोसाइटी में सब कुछ में आपको अवेलेबल है कॉन्टैक्ट में, ठीक है, ताकि हमारी टीम जो है वो आपसे रब्ता करती रहेगी। आप अपना नंबर कमेंट्स में भी मुझे भेज सकते हैं, ताकि कोई भी साथ आपका मसला जो है वो उसकी शॉर्ट वीडियो मुझे व्हाट्सएप कर दें, ताकि मैं वीडियो देख के आपका उसका सलूशन बता सकूं, ठीक है। कोई भी इशू हो सकता है आपके सिस्टम के साथ, आपके लैपटॉप के साथ, तो इंशाल्लाह पूरी कोशिश है कि आपकी बेहतर रहनुमाई हो सके और बर वक्त आपका काम हो जाए। तो कोशिश तो यही है कि, और ये चैनल बनाने का मकसद ही यही है कि ताकि हमारा भी काम चलता रहे और आप लोगों का भी काम चलता रहे, ठीक है। तो उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको फ़ायदा होगा और आपका बेहतर रिस्पांस मुझे मिलेगा। थैंक यू, अल्लाह हाफिज़।